All right, y'all, here we go. Buckle up because it's about to get wild. There is so much to talk about. This is my third annual astrological forecasting event. I love doing this every single year because as the new year comes, well, the new Gregorian calendar year, we're going to talk about the astrological new year sometime in this presentation. But as we turn into a new calendar year, I start looking at the astrology ahead. And if you've already done a 2023 astro birth chart reading, you already know this is a full year, action-packed, so much going on. So there's a lot to talk about tonight. I'm going to try to keep it simple. I know astrology can still be very complex for a lot of people between the planets, the zodiac signs, the movement of them, the cycles, all of it. So I'm going to try to break it down. Again, if you have your 2023 astrology journal, you're going to want to go ahead and grab it because I am going to reference some page numbers for you to follow along or at least to make note of that you can come back to and read more about it. In addition to that, at the end of the presentation, I am going to talk month by month. And so you'll see in the Retrograde journal, there is a calendar overview for every month. And the events I'm going to be talking about may not be listed in this calendar. So what's listed in this calendar is just the full moons and the sun seasons and the retrogrades. Today, I'm actually going to break it down even on transits and when planets are moving into different signs. So you're going to get a lot. Again, like I said, buckle up because here we go. So before we start out, just a little overview on astrology. There's a couple things as an astrologer, I always want to make sure that I mention that we keep in mind when we're talking about astrology. It is not predictive. So any astrologer that pretends like they can predict the future, they can't, they're not God. All we're talking about is energy. And when we know that different planets are in different signs, we know they're going to teach us different lessons. So this is one of my favorite quotes, and that's astrology is like a weather report. It tells you what conditions you're likely to face in the future. If the weatherman says it's probably going to rain, you bring an umbrella. If you follow that advice, you won't get wet. And so today I'm going to be your weather woman, and I'm going to give you the advice of what we need to do during different seasons of 2023 based on the planets and what they're trying to teach us. So I hope this helps you not get wet or get into too much chaos in 2023. So today we're going to talk about our life coaches. This is a little bit of an outline. I'm going to make sure that you guys really understand who each planet is to us, because without understanding each life coach planet and their purpose, it kind of all gets complicated. So we are going to take a minute to talk about each planet and the life coaches. Just a little refresher for those of you who feel like you know a lot about the planets. This might give you a little deeper dive. We're also going to go really quickly in the beginning through the retrograde journal. I did add a lot of things this year into the journal, and I want to make sure you really know how to use this throughout the year. So I'm going to give you some quick tips and tricks, and then we're going to go ahead and dive into the astrology. So we're always going to look back before we look forward. So we are going to kind of understand why and how we got to where we are today. We'll talk about the major themes and the upcoming transits of the year. And then, like I said, at the end, I'm going to give you like the calendar month by month, dates to mark down, dates to pay attention to. That's going to help you be able to prepare your year ahead. So understand when you should maybe go on vacation, when you shouldn't, different opportunities or times that you might have if you're trying to launch businesses or do different things in your life. So that'll make more sense when we get there. And then lastly, I kind of always share like a little bit of predictions and energy and what I see might happen in society and collectively. And so that might help you decide what you want to do personally. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead. And for those of you who don't know, I always like to put this slide in because not everyone knows who I am. So hi, if you don't know me, I'm Mandy Rose. I'm a relational astrologer. So there's many different forms of astrology. There is intuitive astrology, medical astrology, Vedic astrology, all different types of astrology. My mission as an astrologer, as a relational astrologer, is to just help you have a better relationship with yourself. So everything that I talk about is just to help you better understand who you are, why you're feeling the way that you're feeling right now based on the current astro weather, like we're talking about today, and therefore having better relationships with the people around you. Because one, you can understand who they are if you know their birth chart, or you can understand why they may be a little spicy or feeling a little sad because you too understand the current astro weather and how it might be impacting them. So that is my whole lens when I talk about astrology. I'm also a holistic lifestyle coach. I have been in the holistic health world for a very long time through my own personal healing journey. And through that, I founded the Holistic Soul Sister Company. So it's a company that's just dedicated to helping women heal holistically and grow spiritually. So if you follow along on our social media platforms, it's all Holistic Soul Sisters across the board. And of course, I'm the one who wrote the Retrograde Astrology Journal. My first copy was actually 3 years ago. In 2020, it was birthed out of my own chaos, trying to understand why my life was falling apart. And it's literally like my soul on paper. So this means so much to me. And currently, I literally only sell it from me to the people that buy it. So I haven't let it get out of my hands yet, although people tell me all the time I should sell it on Amazon, but I'm not ready. This is my soul's work here. So with that, let's go ahead and quickly just glance over this to help you better understand how to use it. So with that, I want you to go ahead and first open up to this January page right here, which is going to be page number 8. Page number 8. So every month, like I mentioned, is going to have a calendar overview. In this calendar overview, in the top right-hand corner, the blue box is going to show you what retrogrades are active that month. It doesn't necessarily mean that retrograde is active the entire month. It just means at some point in that month, one of those planets is going to be actively retrograde. In the description, you'll see I highlighted the bold numbers, so that way you can quickly look at what dates are active on that month. So I made sure I bolded the numbers and the dates. That'll give you a general overview of the month and kind of what you can expect. So I made sure to do that. I put in a little bit of a piece of advice that is new for 2023 as well. And then the calendar, like I mentioned earlier, is only going to show you full moons, new moons, active retrogrades when they begin and end, and the sun seasons. It does not show when planets move into different zodiac signs. So for instance, when Saturn moves into Pisces or when Venus moves into Aquarius, those aren't marked on this calendar. Those are things we're going to talk about in my What's in the Stars Saturday and through my YouTube channel and things like that. It's just like so much information. I didn't want to overwhelm people with the astrology journal. And then I put this little place at the bottom, my top goal for that month. And I think that's helpful for you guys to fill out, because as you understand the energy and the astro weather and you go back and look at what your goal was at that time, you'll see oftentimes that whatever specific planet was most active was usually influencing why you picked that goal. So that's something we often see in hindsight. So I really encourage you to take the time to just fill out that, and you'll see over time how it might change. The next page is right after it on page 9 in the astrology journal. And this is a sun season page. Every sun season will get its own page in the retrograde astrology journal. And what it means is this is where the sun is located. So in astrology, our astrological calendar is all based upon the sun. The sun is the primary source for monitoring and measuring time in astrology. So we always need to know where the sun is. So for instance, this page is Capricorn season. You will see the dates listed here, and that is the dates that the sun will be in Capricorn. You'll also see what I call like the goal setting season. You know, I think there's self-care season. So that's kind of the overview energy of that month ahead. I give you a basic description of what that zodiac sign is. And at the top left-hand side, that's everything that you'd need to know as a cheat sheet about the energy of Capricorn. So if you're still learning astrology, these are the pages, the sun season pages in your retrograde journal that's going to help you slowly start to understand what each zodiac sign means. And it's nice because you can kind of go month by month and slowly understand it versus trying to cram your head with all of it at once. So by the end of the year, each zodiac energy should make more sense to you. With that, I gave you a bucket list. Those are all great things to do to harness and take power of that energy. We have to remember that the sun is what gives us life, right? Think of the sun. How does it make you feel when you go outside? It makes you feel alive. It makes you feel hot. It gives you vitality, right? It makes you feel energized. So that energy every month, whatever zodiac sign that sun is in, is going to be giving you that energy. So harness it, take it, expand upon it by doing these bucket list items. So I really encourage you to do that. And then, of course, I give you the positive and the shadow energies, things that are good and bad about that zodiac sign. And then, of course, your journal prompts. So you want to fill those journal prompts out at some point during that sun season, that 30-day sun season. So that is that one. Next up, you can go ahead and flip your page a couple pages over. It's going to be page 12 and page 13. These are retrograde pages. This was the main purpose of the astrology journal because retrogrades are lesson learning periods. They're very important in astrology because that planet is going back over the same area of sky that it has already walked through. And I'm going to give you a really quick analogy to understand retrogrades in a real life human way. So here's my analogy. Imagine you're going to go to your neighbor's house to go hang out for a glass of wine. Okay. So you are getting ready, you leave your house and you walk over to your neighbor's house. That part of the sidewalk that you already walked down is your first lap, right? That's when a planet is on track, going to do what they do every single day on a mission. And then they get to their destination. So you get to your neighbor's house and go, oh crap, I forgot my cell phone. I'm expecting a call. So you forgot something. You didn't learn a lesson. You rushed out of the house and you have to now go back home, right? You have to go back over the same part of the sidewalk, over your driveway, back into your house to re-get something. That is the retrograde period. That planet is going back over the same part of the sky it has already crossed over because we have to relearn something, right? In this example, it's you have to relearn to slow down, double check, take your time, be present, right? Because you had an important call. So it's this reflection period. So as you're walking back home, you're like, darn it. Okay, let me go get my cell phone. And then you have to make a third pass through the same part of that sidewalk, right? That is what happens when a planet comes out of retrograde. They cross back one final time in that area of sky. And that is when we get to implement the lesson that we learned. So you'd be walking back to your neighbor's house and saying, all right, I'm not going to do that again. Next time I'm going to make sure I check my pockets. I'm going to check my purse. I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to rush. You learned your lesson. Okay, so that's what retrogrades are, lesson learning periods. We usually have to go back over something in our life. And so the whole purpose of this retrograde journal was to help you navigate these lesson learning periods and to understand them before they happen so that you kind of have an advantage and life isn't just happening to you. You're working with this energy and really accelerating yourself forward. So each retrograde gets 2 pages because it's a lot of information. So in the upper right-hand corner, you will see that I put the degree points that that planet is retrograding through. So if you have your own birth chart, you don't have to have it handy right now, but when you do look at your birth chart, you're going to want to look to see if you have any planets, any personal planets in your own birth chart at one of these degree points. So this would be, for example, anywhere from 8 degrees of Capricorn to 24 degrees of Capricorn. And if you have a planet within those degree points, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way up to 24, this retrograde is going to impact you more than others. This is what I talk about when I do astro forecasting readings for people. We look to see, are you having any active retrogrades, any active full moons or new moons, depending on where your personal planets are. So this gives you a little bit of a cheat sheet in this journal by following where those degree points are. Of course, I always teach you who that life coach is, what happens when they retrograde, what lessons are they trying to teach you. We talk about the zodiac sign they're retrograding through, which always is changing. And then the second page is more or less the lessons, what to expect, do's and don'ts, those things. Now, remember, I do YouTube videos on everything in this journal. So I will have a full in-depth video. Currently, I have this one already up, Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. There's only so much I can fit on these pages. So this is your starting point. And then for in-depth stuff, you're going to head over to the YouTube channel, Holistic Soul Sister TV. And then you have your journal prompts. Something to know for the retrograde journal, when you are filling out your journal prompts for retrogrades, you want to fill it out 3 separate times. Once at the beginning of the retrograde, once at some point in the middle of the retrograde, and once at the end of the retrograde. Now, Mercury's retrogrades are short. They're only 3 weeks. So you'll probably be filling it out, back to back, 1 week after another. Other retrogrades like Saturn's is 5 months. So 5 months is a long time. And the way that you answer these questions in the beginning of the retrograde will be very different from the way that you answer them at the end of the retrograde. And that's the reflection. That was the purpose of the journal prompts. So you can see the change within yourself. You can see the lessons that you've learned. And we don't notice them on a day-to-day basis, but through journaling and writing and acknowledging, you can see that growth from, one time period to another. So those are my advice. Now, after every month, I have extra pages for you to journal in. You'll see a blank page. I put those blank pages for you to like extend upon those retrograde journal prompts, okay? Okay, and then the last pages are going to be the new and the full moon pages. So you can go ahead and flip it over to the next page, which is page number 14. This is for the full moon in Cancer, which is the one right here. And we have a new moon in Aquarius that's coming up next week. New moon and full moon pages are very similar. The only difference is that when you're looking at the degree points for a new moon, you will see that the sun is at the same degree as the moon, right? So the sun is at 1 degree of Aquarius here. The moon is also at 1 degree of Aquarius. New moons mean that the sun and the moon are conjunct in the sky. I say they're hugging, they're hanging out, and that's what causes a new moon. So if you have any planets at that degree point in your birth chart, you are having an activation of that new moon, and it means something significant. If you have a full moon, that means the sun and the moon are opposite. So that means the sun will be at a certain degree point, in this example, 16 degrees of Capricorn, and the moon will have to be opposite in the sky. So the opposite zodiac sign, which is 16 degrees of Cancer. So that's one way to start slowly learning the polarity sign. So Capricorn and Cancer are polar opposite signs. So that is something to note. So if you have planets at either 16 degrees Capricorn or 16 degrees Cancer, also an activation, okay? And then I also give you, this is new for 2023, I give you the theme and the ruler of that moon. So that helps you understand what planet is in control and what planet we really need to be paying attention to at the time of that moon. And that's something I talk more about in the YouTube videos, because again, writing it on here would have been way too much information. Also, I give you your intention. New moons are new beginnings, so setting new intentions. Full moons are about releasing and letting go. So you'll see I put a releasing prompt here for you. I gave you moon ritual ideas because it's always great to take a moment to pause. Remember, around new and full moons, you get about 3 days before to 3 days after that moon. So if you don't get a chance to sit down on that specific date, don't worry, you have time before and after that moon. And then you have your journal prompts. So that's a little bit about the retrograde astrology journal. I hope that's helpful. I hope you really do utilize it and take the time to fill it out. You'll be amazed at the end of the year, not only how much you've learned, but also how intuitive you actually are. And when you're feeling things, this will help you make sense of literally your chaos and why you are feeling the way you're feeling. So enjoy it. I hope you love it. And I hope it helps you make sense of your chaos in 2023. So let's go ahead and transition into talking about our life coaches. That way we can get into the astrology of 2023 and it makes more sense. So we have to understand who each planet is as a life coach. What are they trying to teach us? And whenever they're up to whatever they're up to in the sky, what's the point, right? What is the lesson we're going to learn? So we'll start out with Mercury. Mercury, we all know Mercury's retrogrades. Mercury is our mind. He is the messenger. So when you're looking in your chart or you're ever looking on an astrology graphic, you're looking for the symbol that looks like Venus, except for it has like little wings on its head. So think of Mercury as the messenger and he flies around and spreads messages. So he's got the wings to carry him around. And his purpose is to help us communicate better. Mercury ruling the mind is what we think, how we process that information, how we learn things, how we download it, and then how we communicate it and speak it back out. So he's all about teaching us how to communicate, how to think, how to analyze, everything to do with the mind, and also everything to do with speaking and using our voice. So that is Mercury as a life coach to us. Mars is the planet of the masculine. So it has the symbol of the masculine that we're all very familiar with. And Mars is the outward expression of our energy. It's our chi, it's our stamina, it's our life force. It's the part of us that goes and does and makes decisions and takes action and is bold and is fearless, right? That outward expression of our energy. That is Mars. And as a life coach to us, he's going to help us take action and move forward. Now, and sometimes, depending on what zodiac sign he's in, sometimes that action is going to be bold and fearless and feisty. But sometimes that action is going to be more passive and intuitive, and we're going to wait and we're going to watch and we're going to see how we feel. So wherever Mars is in the sky, whatever zodiac sign he ends up being in is like kind of the vibe, right? We are different people when we're around different people, right? So what I mean by that is you're not the same person you are with your kids as you are with your boss, as you are with your best friends, as you are with your partner or spouse. We take on different energies depending on where we are and what environment we're in. The planets do the same thing. They take on different energy or vibes depending on what zodiac sign they're in, okay? And so Mars is just helping us to take action, helping us to move forward, teaching us to be in our decision-making and forward momentum, but that's just gonna look different depending on where he is in the sky, right? Same thing with Mercury. He's gonna help us think and speak and communicate and learn things, but we're gonna learn about different things and speak differently depending on the environment that he's currently in, okay? So Venus, so we move on to Venus. We know Venus looks just like Mercury without the wings, the feminine symbol, and she's all about love. Who we love, what we find beautiful, right? Think of the feminine. She's artistic and creative and flowing and receiving, the opposite of the masculine. When we're dealing with Venus, we're not doing, we're allowing and we're flowing and we're taking and we're feeling beautiful, right? That's what Venus wants us to learn and to experience, love and femininity and beauty. Again, that's going to look different depending on what zodiac sign she's in. Then we talk about Jupiter. Jupiter, I love Jupiter. He is my favorite. Everyone resonates with a different life coach for different reasons, but I love Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of luck, prosperity, blessings, abundance, growth, expansion. It's larger than life. And Jupiter is like that best friend you go out with for a drink and you end up taking 10 shots, dance on the table all night, and you live life to the fullest. That's that energy. And so his purpose as a life coach to us is to help us be spontaneous, to be joyful, to learn and to gain wisdom, to be adventurous, to take chances, to really just like grow and expand our life and see it with optimism and faith, right? That's where that luck and blessing and prosperity comes in. So I just love Jupiter for that energy. Now we go into planets that are a little further away from us on Earth, and these are the challenging ones because the further away they are from Earth, actually the more powerful they have to be to affect us here on Earth. So we start out with Saturn. Saturn is the planet that we need, but sometimes we hate, and he is that tough love dad. He is the one that creates structure, discipline, routines, commitments, is always harping on us. So I always say Saturn's purpose is to teach us how to be mature and how to grow. And the only way that we are going to grow is if we are forced to go through challenges and obstacles so we can see how tough we are, so we can see how mature we can be. If life is roses and butterflies, we're not going to want to change it. So Saturn comes in, and all those hard, icky things in life are usually Saturn lessons. Obstacles, challenges, growth opportunities, limitations, things not working out for you, illness, death, whatever, usually is due to dear old dad Saturn. But we can work with this energy. When we know where Saturn is and what he's up to and what lessons he's trying to teach us, and we become mature and we take responsibility and we become our own tough love dad, he's not going to harp on us, right? He's not going to harp on us. So just make sure as you're following Saturn's lessons that you're like, okay, I know what he's trying to teach me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to mature. I'm going to be responsible, and it's going to work out. We'll talk more about that. Then we have Uranus. Oh boy, Uranus's motto, sudden jolting change. Choose change before change chooses you. So you want to make sure with Uranus, you got to do what's in your best interest. He's all about looking towards the future. So Uranus comes in to propel you forward when you can't make the change yourself, right? You're going to have to go, but you're going to have to go kicking and screaming if you don't go on your own. And that's the only time Uranus really steps in. He wants to be rebellious. He wants to be innovative. He wants to think outside the box. He wants to cause a revolution. Like, he wants to change things up for the future. So he's going to be the one that like shakes us awake and moves us towards our destiny, even if it's uncomfortable. So also like a life coach that's like, all right, I get it, but like it's hard sometimes. Neptune is dreamy. We don't talk about Neptune a whole lot in astrology because he doesn't move very quickly. He will be a big player in the astrology of 2023. So understanding that Neptune rules fantasy. He lives in la la land, illusions, dreams, spirituality. He helps us believe that we can truly one day live on a yacht in the Mediterranean. Like that's actually possible for us is Neptunian. So he's going to help us dream big, live life to the fullest, see the fantasy and the romanticism in life. And he teaches us a lot about our spiritual connection, the metaphysical, the unseen, the things that kind of, we can't put our finger on, the ethereal that exists, but we just don't know how to describe it. That's kind of Neptune's role. And lastly, we have Pluto. So Pluto, I don't talk about this a whole lot in personal astrology, but it's so important when we're talking about upcoming astrology. Pluto is the god of the underworld. He's a tough one because he's going to help us transform. And it's going to be in a way where we have to bring the darkness into the light. And we have to dredge up things unseen, things unspoken about, things that we don't want to acknowledge. We have to dredge it up and see it in the light first. And then he's going to help us transform that. So he's really going to help us look below the surface, look at what's controlling us, look at our ego, look at the things that are blocking us, things, that we don't want to acknowledge in our subconscious that is affecting our conscious behavior. So Pluto is a tough one too, but he really affects like a collective, a society of people. So that is also going to be a key player in the astrology of 2023. Okay, so that's a lot, and I hope that's helpful just as a preview before we really get into the astrology of 2023. With that as well, I do want to really quickly give you guys, if you know your rising sign, I want to share with you what your ruling planet is. Now, this is a little bit high-level astrology and something we talk about in personal readings, but it's important to understand who your personal ruling planet is, because whatever they're up to in the sky in 2023, it's going to impact you personally more than other people, okay? So Mercury is your ruling planet if your rising sign is Gemini or Virgo. If you are a Virgo rising or a Gemini rising, you're going to want to pay attention to Mercury the most. Mars is the ruling planet of Scorpio and Aries. So if you're an Aries rising or a Scorpio rising, you're going to want to go ahead and pay attention to Mars the most this year. Venus is the ruling planet of Libra and Taurus. So if you are a Libra rising or a Taurus rising, you're going to want to go ahead and pay attention to Venus the most. Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sagittarius and Pisces. So if you are a Pisces rising or a Sagittarius rising, you're going to want to go ahead and pay attention to Jupiter the most. Saturn. Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn and Aquarius. So if you're Aquarius rising or Capricorn rising, you want to pay attention to Saturn the most. Uranus is the ruling planet of Aquarius. He co-rules with Saturn. So you're going to want to pay attention if you're an Aquarius rising to Saturn and Uranus. Neptune is the ruling planet of Pisces. So if you are a Pisces rising, you're going to pay attention to Neptune and Jupiter. And Pluto, lastly, is the planet that rules Scorpio. So if you are a Scorpio rising, you are ruled by Pluto and by Mars. So you're going to pay attention to both of those planets. If you do not know your rising sign, your sun sign can apply as well, okay? Because your sun sign is very powerful, but your rising sign is the most important part of your chart. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so now we can go ahead and dive in. You got some baselines, you got the understanding of your journals. Let's go ahead and start getting moving, talking about 2023. It is a very, very full year. So to understand where we're at in 2023, let's first go back to 2020, a little quick recap. In 2020, that was a breakdown year. That was a major year in the astrology. If you've been following my astrology content since 2020, you know that we had Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter meet up in the sky 3 times. Astrologers saw this coming decades, if not hundreds of years before it happened. Now, we didn't know it was going to be Corona, but we knew something very important, very pivotal, destructive was going to happen to society with that conjunction. And something that is important in all religion, most spirituality, and astrology included, is that anytime we see something 3 times, 3 being a sacred number, a very religious number, anytime something happens in 3s, it's like a way of being like, okay, pay attention, pay attention. This is out of the ordinary. So we had 3 planets, Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter, meeting up in the sky 3 times. That was due to retrograde. So they were together, retrograded, came back, retrograded, came back. Okay, so 2020 was the breakdown, destruction. 2021, energetically, we were trying to go back to normal, right? We were trying to put our lives back. The lockdowns ended, we were able to go back to work. We were able to go back to our lives, re-celebrate birthdays and weddings and all these things that we missed out in 2020. And we were just trying to go back to normal. But in that process, we started to realize that we didn't really even want to go back to the life that we had before, and that it's all changing, and the way that we do work is changing, and the way we do life is changing, and the things that we like and what we want to do in our future is changing. And so we had this realization and this acceptance of like, damn, it's never going to go back to the way it was. And we were trying most of 2021 to plug it back in, to fix it, to, go back to where it was, and we couldn't. So we moved into this past year of 2022 with that realization, with that acceptance of like, all right, it's over, done, over, old life, goodbye, I'm moving forward. So many of us changed our lives in 2020 and 2021, or at least started wanting to. And in 2022, it was what we call an air year. Air being the mind. Mercury retrogrades all happened in air signs, in his home sign, because Mercury rules the mind, right? So 2022 was all about our mind, having conversations, doing research, coming up with new ideas, having conversations about what could be, right? How many of you spent 2022 researching a new career or industry, having conversations with people about where you want to move or what you want to do, journaling and dreaming and everything to do with the mind? What next? What next? Asking all the questions. So with that, we enter now 2023 as an Earth year. This is an Earth year. All the Mercury retrogrades will be happening in Earth, and we're actually going to physically, in our 3D reality, start to see the manifestations come to life. We are going to start to see us walking up the mountain of our new life, of our new dream. We're not going to make it to the top yet, but we're going to start taking steps forward to actually see change this year. And that is so freaking exciting. I know so many people have been stuck, lost, frustrated, confused, like, I don't know what's happening in my life. We're going to make moves this year. And with that, it is a full year, like full year. I can't even begin to describe it. You'll see when we get into the astrology. So what I did here is this chart right here is the chart at midnight Eastern Standard Time in New York, the moment we rang in 2023. So this is the birth chart of 2023. And it's a Libra rising year. And we know that because AC, which is the ascendant line, means that this is the rising sign. So it's a Libra rising year. So what it's going to feel like, Libra, ruled by Venus, relationship focused. There is going to be a lot of relationship endings, relationship changings, dynamics changing, prioritization of relationships of all areas of life. This is a very relationship focused. That's what we can see here with this Libra rising as the year for 2023. Also, the minute we hit midnight Eastern Standard Time, Saturn was at 22 degrees, a repeating number. But so was Neptune. Neptune was also at 22 degrees. So we have 2, 2, 2, 2 repeating pattern here. In addition to that, the nodes of destiny, right? Anytime we talk about the North Node, which is the horseshoe here, and the South Node, we talk about destiny and karma. That is what eclipses are. That is what the nodes of destiny are. They were at 11 degrees, also opening up an 11-11 portal. So that's very important because 11-11 is a repeating number that is very much spiritual in connection to God, source, divine, your angels, messages being sent from above. This is a very spiritual year with the repeating numbers. There's going to be a heavy emphasis on connection to the divine, and we're going to talk so much more about that. But this is a year where energy, intuition, your connection, your awakening, all that metaphysical stuff, and that even can be religion. That could be you going back to church. Like, there is going to be a connection and a tap in, a bridge coming in 2023 that's going to help guide us to what we're supposed to be doing and where we're supposed to be going. A soul-led, soul mission-focused year. In addition to that, when we entered into 2023, and if you've been following my astrology stuff, whether that's the What's in the Stars Saturdays, the YouTube videos, I've just been talking about the start of 2023 has not felt like a new year. So if you've been more tired, more frustrated, not motivated, haven't even done your goals, to-dos, resolutions, planning for the year, I get it. I get it. And that's because we started the year with 3 retrogrades. Mercury retrograde, Mars retrograde, and Uranus retrograde. Mercury being the mind, that's retrograde. We can't think, right? We can't communicate. We can't plan. We're retrograde. We're going inward. We're rethinking of old stuff to clear up and fix and solve before we can officially start the new. And then Mars retrograde is like our chi. Remember, Mars is our stamina, our life force, our action, decision-making. That's retrograde too, until tomorrow. So we're really feeling that now as we go into the ending of this retrograde tomorrow, where we're just really slow and our stamina is down and we want to sleep more than normal. And we just don't feel like taking actions. We don't want to make decisions yet. That's okay. It's not actually going to feel like that new year, new me energy until January 22nd, when all three of those planets come out of retrograde. And then shit's going to get real and we are going to be going forward. So you're going to want to make sure that right now you're resting for the launch that's going to happen in life. You want to make sure your game plan and what you truly want is solid, because once we get going, we're going. And you want to make sure that you know where you're going long before you have to take the left or the right hand turn. Trust me on that one. And lastly, this is a very pivotal time in history. With astrology, we can look at what's coming up in 6 months, in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 100 years, thanks to astronomy and understanding where all the planets and the stars are going to be at any given point in time for generations out. And what we're seeing in astrology, and I haven't seen any other astrologers mention this, so I'm kind of shocked about it, but Aries is the area of life that is going to be popping off, getting so much attention by so many planets for literally like the next 6 to 7 years of our life. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but it's already started. So within your birth chart, you best know what Aries rules, what area of life Aries rules for you, because this is the area of life that you're going to have some major attention from multiple life coach planets over the next 6 years. And it's something I've been talking about in all of my astro forecasting because it's already started. And that is because as we entered the year, Jupiter right here has already entered Aries at 1 degree and Chiron is at 11 degrees. This was the day we entered into 2023, remember? So that's again, 111. And what's today? 111. So this is all alignment. Like I try to work with the energy of astrology so much because I know that this Aries area of my life is getting a lot of attention. And Jupiter is that planet of expansion, growth, blessing, prosperity. Like love Jupiter. And I always want to know where he is. And right now he's in Aries. He's kicking off the next 6 years of our life, getting so much attention in the Aries area of our life. I can't even say it and repeat it enough in 1,000 different ways. So important to pay attention to. Okay, so with that, I know it's already a lot. Thank you guys for bearing with me. I'm going to give you a little overview of where all the planets are going to be this year. So where they start and where they end. So again, if you have your birth chart handy or you look it up when you catch the replay, you're going to want to look to see if you have any planets between these degree points. And that means the planets in the sky in 2023 are going to impact you more than others. So we start out with Pluto. Pluto's making moves this year. Pluto is finally moving after 15 years, and he started the year at 27 degrees of Capricorn. This is the symbol for Capricorn. And so he's very slow moving. That's why it takes him like 2 decades to make it through a sign. But he just simply moves 0 degrees of Aquarius, and then he runs back into Capricorn. So we just get a little blip, a little pop, a little hello, I'm here, I'll be back for 2 decades. But this year he makes a little pop over. So if you have any planets at 27, 28, 29, or 0 degrees of Aquarius, Pluto is visiting you. And that's very special because Pluto moves so slow, 250 years to be exact, to go all the way around the wheel. So there's only going to be a limited section of your chart, maybe 5 or 6 houses that get a visit from Pluto. So it is important to understand if Pluto in the sky is visiting one of your life coach planets. Then we talk about Saturn. Saturn, that tough love dad, challenges, obstacles, growth, like all that hard stuff. You got to know where Saturn is. Like I said, he started at 22 degrees of Aquarius, and this year he also moves signs into Pisces. But he only makes it to 7 degrees of Pisces, where he will retrograde back to 0 degrees of Pisces this year. So this is the only part of the sky that Saturn will be visiting in 2023. Then we move into Jupiter. Like I said, Jupiter is my favorite planet. He started out at 1 degrees of Aries. He is the opening scene for this Aries area of our life. And this year he will be moving all the way through Aries and into Taurus, where he will make it halfway through Taurus at 15 degrees. And then he will retrograde back to 5 degrees of Taurus this year. So this is the part of the sky in your birth chart that you'd want to look to see if you have any planets from anywhere in Aries, 1 to 30, and then in Taurus from 0 to 15. Now, if we see right here is Uranus, and I know you can't really see because I had this circled, but Uranus is at 15 degrees of Taurus on the day of 2023. And that is actually where Jupiter will end up 3 times this year. So 15 degrees of Taurus, if you have any planets at 15 degrees of Taurus, that is going to be one of the most important degrees out of all 360. So if you have a planet there at 15 degrees of Taurus, you're going to want to make note of that. And we'll talk more about why in just a second. And Uranus is such a slow moving planet. He's only going to go from 14 degrees of Taurus to 23. He just goes 9 degrees. He moves very, very slow. And then lastly, we talk about the North and the South node. These are the eclipses. These are the fated destined events. It's so important to know where the nodes of destiny are, because these are areas of life that you're going to get eclipsed things in and eclipse things out, and you have a little less free will. Now, if you've been following me again through 2022, we've been talking about all the eclipses happening in the zodiac sign of Scorpio and Taurus, Scorpio and Taurus, North node here in Taurus, South node here in Scorpio. Something to note about the nodes is they actually move backwards in the chart. So Jupiter is moving counterclockwise, Saturn counterclockwise, Pluto counterclockwise. The nodes actually move clockwise. So they run into planets very frequently because they are crossing over them. So this year, the nodes are moving from Taurus and Scorpio into Aries and Libra. Again, another activation to this Aries area of our life. And that's the nodes of destiny. That is fated destined events moving in at some point this year. And I'll give you those dates in just a moment. So these are very important things to understand. The last 2 planets to understand where they're going to be is our masculine and our feminine, our Venus and our Mars, because for many of you, they are your ruling planet. Again, Venus ruling Libra risings and Taurus rising, Mars ruling Aries risings and Scorpio risings. So Venus, as a relational astrologer, she rules who we love, what makes us beautiful, what romanticizes our life, our money, our assets, our values, our possessions, everything we love is ruled by Venus. So it's so important to understand where she's going to be and what she's up to in the sky. In 2023, she starts in Capricorn, actually in a direct hug, a direct conversation with Pluto. So that's not the most fun energy to walk into 2023 with relationship-wise, because Pluto brings up, remember, secrets and control and manipulation and uncovers and brings to the light all the icky stuff that we don't want to acknowledge is there. So if you already feel at the beginning of this year that a lot of your relationships are having these deep, dark conversations, what do you want? I don't want to be controlled. I want to do this, like, revealing secrets. You're finding out things about people you didn't think you knew. That's because we started out the year with Venus, or what we love and who we love, hugging Pluto, god of the underworld. Now she's going to really move this year. She's going to make it almost all the way around the sky into Sagittarius. But see this little X here? She parks her butt in Leo this year because she will retrograde this year. She doesn't retrograde every year, and her retrogrades are very spiritual. We're going to talk, we have a whole slide talking about Venus's retrograde this year, and they're 40 days and they're 40 nights, and they're very important. They're shape-shifting to relationships. It's just a major astrological event, especially for me as a relational astrologer. So she's going to park her butt here in Leo for 5 months. That means in the other 7 months, she really makes moves. Like she's like 4 weeks here, 4 weeks here, 4 weeks here. So she moves very fast. Then we have Mars. Remember I said Mars is retrograde at the beginning of this year. We can see that because this little R next to his symbol. Starting out in a retrograde, but once he's out of that retrograde, he's going to pick up steam and he's going to make it all the way to Sagittarius this year. So he only goes through half the chart. So he's only going to make it in your birth chart from Gemini to Sagittarius, affecting only half of your life this year. So also important to understand that. So that's kind of the overview of the planets. I know this is like high level, it's complicated. Just hold on to what you can, because we're going to kind of repeat and break it all down month by month, and the why and how this is going to affect you. I'm just giving you the overview now. Okay, so here's our highlights for the year. Number one, we have a lot of planets moving that have not moved in a very, very long time. This is what makes this such a full year, because it's all happening at once. Pluto, the planet, the god of the underworld, has been in the zodiac sign of Capricorn since 2008. So he has not moved in 15 years, and he's ready to move. He's making his move this year. So we have a planet that has not moved in 15 years, moving into Aquarius. The thing to know is that no one alive today knows what this energy feels like. So even astrologers, we are just kind of marinating what we know about Pluto and the lessons he teaches people with what we understand about Aquarius energy. And that's all we can do, because we've never been alive. We can look back to the last time this happened, which was 250 years ago. This was in the late 1700s when the United States was born. That was the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. So we're going to have a whole slide, and we're going to talk more about what happened during that time frame, so we can kind of understand where we're going as a society, as Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for the next 2 decades. So something we really is going to change humanity as we know it. Saturn is also moving this year. He only moves every 2.5 to 3 years, and he is also making his move almost to the same week as Pluto is making his move. And Saturn has been in Aquarius, setting the scene for where Pluto is going to enter. So this is also important to understand. Saturn has been in Aquarius since December of 2020. Important to pay attention to Saturn again, because he is teaching you challenges and obstacles and lessons and all that hard shit. So he's been in Aquarius, rocking that area of life, teaching us a lot of lessons. And this year, he's finally going to move into Pisces. Major. And we have Jupiter also moving signs. Like we mentioned, he is currently in Aries, and he traditionally spends 1 year in each zodiac sign. So in 12 years, he goes all the way around all 12 zodiac signs. But like I said, in 2023, this is a full year. He is making moves, making moves. He zips through Aries in 5 months and enters Taurus. So we actually get 2 areas of life, 2 zodiac signs in 2023 that Jupiter is going to bless us in. This is awesome. This is so great for us. And we've already kicked off the Aries energy. We'll talk again way more about that in a second. And then we also have the eclipses moving this year. Eclipses are 18-month cycles, and we're wrapping up the Taurus and Scorpio cycle. But in 2023, it's not a clean break. Traditionally with the eclipses, it's like Scorpio, Taurus, Scorpio, Taurus, Scorpio, Taurus, and then we move on to the next one. But in 2023, we start the new cycle of Aries and Libra while we're actually still playing out the old Taurus and Scorpio cycle. This is a lot. I mean, because eclipses have to do with fated, destined events. It is the only time in astrology when our free will is tied just a little bit. You can push on that door and you can push on that door, but if it's not meant for you, it's not opening. Eclipses are full and new moons that are getting you back on track with your soul's mission. And again, in your birth chart, you have your North Node of Destiny. That is your personal North Star. Like, that's what you're here to do. And every eclipse is kind of align you to get back on track, get back on track. So the fact that we have eclipses in 4 different zodiac signs this year, every single one is in a different sign, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And again, we have a whole slide talking about that. So just understand we have planets that have not moved in a very long time, making major energetic shifts. Pluto hasn't been in Aquarius in 250 years. Saturn has not been in Pisces in 30 years. Jupiter has not been in Aries or Taurus for 12 years. And the eclipses have not been in Aries and Libra for 19 years. So we are starting new cycles, and it's all happening at once. Now I'm going to give you some fun facts. This is what I love about being an astrologer and noticing little trends and unique things. And this is what makes every year so unique and so fun, because we pick up on these like little nuances that it's like, if you didn't know it, you'd totally miss it. So first of all, 5 degrees and 15 degrees of Taurus are degree points. Now, mind you, there's 360 degree points, right? It's a wheel, 360 degrees. 5 and 15 are activated over and over and over again this year, 3 times, if not more. So if you have any planets at 5 degrees of Taurus or 15 degrees of Taurus, or even close to there, let's say 3, 4, or 5, maybe 6, and then, 13, 14, 15, 16 of Taurus, you're going to get activated multiple times this year. And that's due to the fact that Jupiter and Mercury are retrograding these exact points. And we have 2 eclipses this year that are exactly at these points. Major energy. So pay attention to that. We also have a very, very active retrograde season. If you purchase the 2022 astrology journal, you will see, like I mentioned, at the beginning of every month, the blue box at the top of the month lists the number of active retrogrades that are happening that month. The max we've ever had is 7. And in 2023, by September, we are going to have 8 planets retrograde. That is pretty much every planet energetically will have retrograde energy during the month of September. And I feel like when I intuitively listen and understand the astrology, from the logical mindset of understanding astrology, but also the intuitive side of like the messages I get when I'm doing readings, we need this active retrograde season. We really need, by the time we get to September, a moment of rest, a moment of pause, a moment of reflection, right? Retrogrades are redoing, reanalyzing, restructure, resting, anything with the word re. Because until September, we are just getting shit thrown at us left and right. Pluto into a new sign, Saturn into a new sign, Jupiter into new signs, new eclipses, new this, new moons, blue moons. Like there's so much that by the time we get to September, it's like pause, time out, make sure you're still on track, make sure that what you wanted at the beginning of the year is still what you want. Like let's reanalyze all of this because it was so much at once and you were just like holding on for dear life, running into the direction of your dreams and your passions, that we got to like slow it down and work with what we've been given at that point in time. So just know when we get to September, you feel like you're on a roll, and then all of a sudden retrogrades happen and you're like, damn it, I'm not getting new clients. Damn it, that opportunity isn't coming as easy as it once was. Because we're not meant to always have more and more and more. We're meant to sift and sort what we get, drop the things we don't want, and then we can go get more when the retrogrades end. We have 2 full moons in Cancer this year, very unique because traditionally we only have 1 full moon and every 12 zodiac signs, 1 full moon a month, 12 zodiac signs, 12 months, but this year we have 2 full moons in Cancer. Not only do we have 2 full moons in Cancer, but it's actually the first full moon of the year and the last full moon of the year. So in your retrograde journal, I'll give you guys those page numbers. We just had that first full moon, and that was on January 6th. That's on page 14. But if you flip all the way to the last pages of your retrograde journal on page 92, that is the last full moon of 2023. And that's also a full moon in Cancer again. And full moon in Cancers are all about releasing emotions. It's a very emotional moon. And by the time we get to the end of the year, there's going to be a lot of emotional shit we're going to have to pay attention to and we're going to have to let go of because we didn't really have time to address our emotions in 2023. We were running with our pants on fire that we'd have to take a moment at the end of the year to readdress those emotions. So whatever you felt last week during that full moon in Cancer, you're going to have an opportunity to release again, similarly to that. Then, therefore, we have no new moon in Capricorn this year. So whatever Capricorn rules in your birth chart, whatever area of life is ruled by Capricorn, you don't get a new moon this year. You don't get a new opportunity to start new or fresh in that year. But you are going to have 2 Mercury retrogrades in that sign. So that's just kind of important to acknowledge that your Capricorn area of life is a reflection area, not a place to be beginning new things. We have 2 blue moons this year. These are so exciting. I am freaking loving both of them. One, because the first one's on 420, and that was like, immature Mandy loves celebrating 420. And my birthday is August 31st. So I'm going to have a blue moon pretty close to my birthday. And both of these new moons are very, very, very important moons of the year. The first one being an eclipse, and the second one being in Pisces, where we're going to have Saturn and Neptune retrograde at the time of this full moon in Pisces. So it's just a lot. We'll talk about it later. I promise. We're going to go into depth into all these things. And then we actually have 6 full moons in a row at 16 degrees. Super important. 6 full moons in a row means that every zodiac sign is activated if you have any placements in your chart at 16 degrees. So you want to look in your birth chart, and if you have any planets, again, at 15, 16, or 17 degrees, you've had multiple activations during these 6 full moons. 4 of them are this year. You'll see in your retrograde journal at the beginning of the journal on page 7, I listed all the new and the full moons and kind of like a little cheat sheet for you. And you'll see that the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one are all at 16 degrees. The other 2 happened at the end of 2022. So very important activations. Again, we can talk about that in personal astrology readings. Okay, so let's go ahead and kick off Pluto. Pluto in Aquarius. This is the symbol for Aquarius. You can look in your birth chart for the symbol, or if you're looking for planets in your chart, this is the symbol you're going to look for. It looks like 2 little waves. It is the water bearer element. Okay, starting out with Pluto in Aquarius. This is major, major, major for 2023, because like I said, no one alive has understood this energy. And Pluto is the god of the underworld, right? God of the underworld. He brings unconscious to the conscious. All the things that aren't working, we're going to have to now face them, right? All that subconscious programming, the power, the control, the ego, the manipulation, the forcing, all of that's going to come to the surface, and we're going to have to look at it. Transformation. He just wants us to grow, transform, phoenix, rising from the ashes, from the rubble, turning lead into gold. But he brings that darkness into the light first. We have to acknowledge that it's existing so we can get rid of it, so we can shed it, so we can purge it and be left with only light. But that transformation process is icky and it's uncomfortable. So Pluto is very much responsible for transforming. He uncovers what is rotten, what is dying and decaying below the surface, that is poisoning the fruit or the flowers that we're visibly seeing in our life. Again, he moves very slow, like 15 years to 25 years in a sign. So this is nothing that we notice on a day-to-day basis. This is something you notice over a decade of your life or 2 decades of your life. And in society, it kind of works the same way. But when that planet tippy-toes and touches that 1st degree point of the new sign, it kind of, they go in with a bang. They're like, this is what it's going to look like. Like, hello, pay attention, because this is what's to come. And that's going to happen for us this year on March 23rd, a very important day of 2023. And kind of funny, right? 2023 on March 3rd on 3-2-3. Kind of weird, right? March is 3-2-3 in 20-0-2-3. I don't know. I love synchronicities. I think the universe has it all figured out. God had planned it this way because he created the universe in my belief system. So I just pay attention to these synchronicities. And it's like, do you see this? Do you catch this? Do you understand how important this is going to be? Now, something to understand about Aquarius energy. Like I said, astrologers, we're just trying to piece together what this life coach teaches us and then the energy he's going to be in. Aquarius rules innovation. It rules technology. It rules humanity. It rules the future in the direction that we're going. So what we're going to see and what we can kind of see from what happened last time, like I mentioned, almost 250 years ago, we went into the Industrial Revolution. This is when the United States was born. And the Industrial Revolution changed the way, the future of society by new innovations, new technologies, new ways of doing things that are going to help solve problems for humanity. That's what the Industrial Revolution was, right? It made people's lives easier, humanity, the collective. It solved problems. That's what Aquarius does. It's an air sign. It solves problems. By using innovation, ingenious ideas, and the mind and the future, looking at the future, what could people want? What could make it better, right? So that's what we're already kind of starting to feel. That's all the things that are coming towards us. Because again, like I mentioned, Saturn has already been in Aquarius since December of 2020, setting the scene for Pluto to arrive. Now, if we talk about it, this year, Pluto is only going to be in Aquarius at 0 degrees. He never makes it to 1 degree or 2 degrees. He's only at 0, and then he retrogrades back into Capricorn on June 11th. So we are just getting a preview for March 23rd until June 11th. It is very quick. So we need to pay attention to what is happening in humanity, what direction, what new future, what innovations are coming out, what technology is coming out, because he will enter back into Capricorn until next year. And then he officially, in 2024, officially enters Aquarius for almost 2 decades. So something to pay attention to. And Pluto represents power. You know, it's very much about what is happening in society, who has the power. Capricorn, when he's been in Capricorn for the last 15 years, Capricorn rules institutions, structure, government, religion, medical things. We've been seeing the power, Pluto taking the power away from the government, power away from institution, power away from structures. And it's now going to be going to the people, because Aquarius rules humanity. It rules the collective. It rules the people. So we're really going to see power shifts and power struggles in society where people are going to want to move towards the future in a way that serves them, the collective, more than the rules and the structures and the institutions that have been in place for 250 years since the US was born, right? The last time that Pluto was in Capricorn was when the US was born. So the United States is going through its first Pluto return. And something to understand about that is most civilizations crumble during their Pluto return. You can look at Ming dynasties, Chinese dynasties, the Aztecs, the Romans, the Greeks, like even in Europe, you look at the Ottoman Empire, the German, country, they all fell around 250 years or had some sort of major revolution, changing of structure, changing of the way that that country operated. And that happened mostly during Pluto returns. And the US is going through its first ever Pluto return right now. It started last year and will kind of energetically exist for the next couple of years. And we can see a lot of things happening in the United States as we're going through this transition. So what can we expect? The question is, what will fall apart, right? Because he's going to uncover what's rotten. He's going to bring all that dark stuff to light and transform it. And first, we have to become consciously aware of what we don't want to acknowledge in society. So a lot of it is going to be old systems of technology. The old way of technology that we've used it thus far is probably not going to work anymore. That could be the car with oil and petroleum. That was an innovation that happened a long time ago, but doesn't work anymore, right? We need new innovations, new technology that's going to lead us into the future, cleaner oils, solar, all of that. We'll also look at what's been no longer working. And so things like robotics, we're expecting a lot of technological advances. This is a decade in astrology that we're going to look back in history and be like, wow, 2020s were the year that changed society, like major revolution, right? This will be massive. And we're going to see a lot of technological innovation. Robotics, it's already happening, right? With like people getting robotic arms and robotics taking over jobs, and it's just incredible. The AI emergence, right? This artificial intelligence, we already see it with ChatGPT and all these ways of finding out and automatically downloading information within seconds. That's going to go like to a next level when Pluto gets here. Armed robotics, we're going to talk a lot about like this humanity, protecting humanity. That's already been approved. I don't know if you guys heard this in San Francisco. The police department just approved armed robots. It's kind of scary. And then also a lot of tech that's going to alter biology. So, like implants in the brain, being able to alter our DNA by using different technologies and innovations, becoming superhuman. It's going to be wild. This is going to be wild. And it's just the beginning this year as we tippy toe into Aquarius between March 23rd and June 11th. So it's going to be very innovative. And again, this is what makes it such a full year for us personally, because we exist under this. This is society, this is global, this is the energy that's happening around us. But as you're going into your new chapter, climbing the mountain of your new existence since 2020, you want to be in an industry like this, the power is here. That you want to change things, or maybe you want to get off the grid. You're like, all right, I better do it now because all this is coming, right? So this helps you make decisions in your own personal life if you want to fall with this or you want to get away from this. So just something to like understand personally how you can make decisions by understanding this energy. Okay, so with that, we move into Saturn, because like I said, Saturn has set the scene. He has been hanging out in Aquarius, setting the scene for Pluto to come in this year. And he's been here since December of 2020. And he will leave Aquarius on March 7th. So we are in the home stretch of Saturn in Aquarius. And this is good news for all of you going through your Saturn return in the zodiac sign of Aquarius. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But let's do a little refresher. Who is Saturn? Saturn's that tough love dad. We got to know where he is and what he's up to, because he is teaching us lessons, hard lessons through growth and struggles and opportunity that mature us and force us to take responsibility. It can feel like he's a tyrant. Did you do your homework? Did you do your homework? Did you do your homework? You can't go to school if you didn't do your homework. Ugh, so annoying. Feels like a tyrant. But he's just trying to teach you. He's got that dad, that paternal energy of like, I know what's right for you. I know what you need. Why aren't you listening, right? Why do you have to learn the hard way? Because we're, souls incarnated in a human body, and we're here to grow and learn the hard way. That's what we're doing here. But thank God for Saturn trying to get us on track all the time. He was trying to create structure. Structure through routine, structure through commitment, structure through rules, structure through boundaries. That is what he's trying to do. So he asks you to be responsible. How can you step up and take more responsibility? How can you mature in this area of life? And it can feel like he's destroying things, but he's actually just assessing what foundation needs to be rebuilt. What can stand the test of time? We call him Grandfather Time. We call him the Taskmaster. We call him the Timekeeper. We call him Lord Karma. These are all words for Saturn. And he's actually just building when he's destroying something in your life. So you can build it anew on fresh, solid, stable foundation. Because it takes him 30 years to come back to a zodiac sign. And in whatever condition he leaves it, whatever condition he's going to leave Aquarius collectively and within your birth chart on March 7th, that's mostly how it's going to be for the next 30 years of your life. So you have from now until March 7th to get it together in the Aquarius area of your life. Get it together. But society-wise, what we're experiencing, again, goes back to Aquarius ruling innovation, ruling technology, ruling humanity, and ruling the future and the direction we're moving as a society. So Saturn has been here forcing more rules, forcing more structure, teaching people to understand where we're going. So what that looks like a lot of the time is putting more boundaries around technology, right? And we've seen that in society, more rules on social media, more boundaries about using our social media at certain places, when it's appropriate, when it's not. We've seen a lot more structure around innovation. So maybe people, inventors and all these geniuses have had all these ideas in their mind. And now Saturn's come in to society and help take those ideas, the genius inventions that people have up here, and puts them into structure, builds them, creates them, right? Puts them into like a tangible process. And also with that humanity in the future, it's like helping people and rewarding them for being authentic, for contributing to society, for being humanitarian. We've seen this a lot in businesses that give back, that donate, that have a humanitarian quality to them, have been thriving. And ad campaigns have been centered around this, right? We give back this amount of money, or we donate every time you shop with us. That's Saturn putting structure, forcing people to take responsibility for humanity and give back. So that's something that's also been a blessing with Saturn and Aquarius collectively. This has been a very hard journey for Saturn in Aquarius, and anyone that has gone through their Saturn return in Aquarius since December of 2020, I feel you. I've done a lot of birth chart readings for you people, so I get it, and my best friend also has this placement. So if in your birth chart, you look for this symbol, the Saturn symbol, and it's in the zodiac sign of the waves, that means you were born with a Saturn in Aquarius. And that means you are personally going through your Saturn return. This happens, like I said, about every 30 years. So around 29 to 31, and then again around 58, 60, 61. And it's been challenging for you more often than other people because of his fight with Uranus. I've been talking so much about this in the astrology, but Saturn is here in Aquarius. Uranus has been in the zodiac sign of Taurus. They are creating a square in the sky. Humans exist at the point, at the square, in the sky. And so it's been a lot of tension, a lot of fighting, a lot of differing of opinions. And we've been feeling that, where Saturn's like, you need to have structure, you need to have rules, you need to do it the way it's always been done, follow tradition, go to school like your parents want you to, be in the career for 30 years of your life, do it this way, right? And then Uranus is over here and he's like, no, you got to rebel. You got to liberate. You got to be free. You got to do it your way. You got to be authentic, like do what makes you feel good. And so there's been tension in this fight and in society and within ourselves, and we don't know which one to do. But let me tell you the little secret is that Uranus always wins, because Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. And so Saturn is at that disadvantage. So he might be in a fight with Uranus, but Uranus is like, put on the landlord of where you're renting, buddy. So every time you want to fight back, I up your rent, and it just gets harder to follow tradition, and it gets harder to follow the rules of society. And so that's what we've been feeling energetically. And we're almost done with that. We're kind of in the home stretch of this. So with that, we are now going into new ways of thinking around institutions and structures in our lives. And we're being rewarded for being authentic, rewarded for showing up in your own unique, quirky way, your own alien self, right? The more authentic you are, the more people actually relate to you. And then you find your tribe, which is Aquarius. Remember, humanity and the collective. There's a lot more rules that have been brought into the internet and technology and social media. And then Saturn, like I mentioned, is Lord Karma. So a lot of karma and hard lessons around not being humanitarian. If you don't care about society, if you don't donate, if you don't help in your business, you're just kind of being like shunned in society right now, that karma and that hard lesson about taking care of the collective and taking care of other people in your life. Okay, so with that leads us to March 7th of 2023, a date we need to put on our calendar. We need to pay attention to. This is major because the Saturn lessons in the Aquarius area of your life are over officially on March 7th, but they do begin in Pisces. So we need to know where Pisces is within your chart. So we need to pay attention to that. Now, this starts on March 7th and it goes all the way until 2025, actually 2026. I'll give you those exact dates in just a moment. So this is going to be a while. We're going to have to learn these lessons in the Pisces area of our life. But I'm very excited about this energy. When I talked earlier about more spirituality, more intuition, more connection to the divine, this is why. Because Saturn is Lord Karma, and he's entering Pisces, which is the final zodiac sign, is the ending. It is the 12th house. It is the house of clearing, cleansing, purging, cutting karma, releasing, and letting go. So you have Lord Karma entering in the sign of karma. So we're going to be cleansing so much from our life. We are going to be releasing all that doesn't serve, and we are going to follow our intuition. We are going to follow our divine guidance. We are going to be given messages. We are going to be more Jesus-like. And I'll talk about that in a second, because Saturn does all these things. Remember, he's the tough love dad, structure, boundaries, rules, responsibility. But he gets to Pisces and he's not happy here. He loses a lot of power because Pisces is the sign of religion and spirituality. It is the most boundless sign. It is the ethereal world. It is the metaphysical. It is the intangible. It is the things that I can't quite put my hands on, but we know that they exist. So Saturn, for the last 6 years, has been able to teach us crazy lessons because he's been in power. He was in power in Capricorn because he rules Capricorn. So from 2018 until 2020, he was in his home sign teaching us all these lessons. If you feel like 2018, 2019, leading up to 2020 was a lot of lessons, a lot of growth opportunities, a lot of maturing, a lot of hard ass shit coming at you, Saturn was in his full power during that time. Then in December of 2020, he went into Aquarius, another place that he rules. It's like his second home. And so he's been in that fight with Uranus, lessons, obstacles, like growth challenges. We think things are working, then they're not working. Then we have to go back and redo them until they're perfect, right? Like all these things. Then he gets into Pisces. And this is where he is out of control. There is no rules when it comes to Pisces. This is the Jesus energy. Pisces is Jesus, like love, compassion, empathy, forgiveness. I love you no matter what, whoever you are. It's okay. I forgive you. Like that Jesus energy of limitless love, endless compassion, forgiving people over and over again. Saturn's like, what the frick? That's not how it goes, right? I want rules. I want structure. If you do this to me, then this is how I'm going to punish you. That's how he wants to be. But Pisces doesn't flow like that. So I want you to think about, like, in your life, let's say you're the opposite. Let's say you're a very spiritual person. And then you go to your in-laws' house and they are not spiritual. And heaven forbid you talk about your spirituality, right? Because then you're like an outcast. That's kind of how Saturn is in Pisces in role reversal. He's like disciplinarian. He's like buttoned up and very conventional, and then he gets to Pisces and it's like, dude, just love a little, dude, just like relax a little, right? Like have some more fantasy. It's going to be a very interesting energy for all of us to experience. But what I'm saying is the lessons in the Pisces area of your life are not going to be as dramatic as they've been in the last 2 years, as Saturn was in the Capricorn area of life and as Saturn was in your Aquarius area of life. So any person that was born with a Saturn in Pisces, and you're now on March 7th going to be entering in your Saturn return, it's going to be a lot easier for you than it was for the people in Aquarius. So you make the people with the Saturn in Aquarius very envious because the lessons are going to come with this Jesus energy. They're going to come with a lot more compassion. Like, oh man, I messed up. Like I should have been more responsible. I should have changed the oil in my car and now my car broke down, but it's okay. I learned my lesson. I forgive myself, right? And we forgive other people easier when they don't do what we need them to do. It's just going to be a lot easier. In addition, Pisces rules hospitals, institutions, jails. It rules things behind the scenes of society. So Saturn will be able to come in and create more structure. It will be able to take more responsibility and to organize these areas of life that I think we all can agree needs a lot more organization. Hospitals, different institutions, religious institutions, school institutions, all the things, right? And jails, prisons, all of that, a lot of reform, a lot of, understanding what should be and shouldn't be punished, right? Lord Karma. In addition, Pisces rules mental health. So again, clearing, cutting, purging, cleansing. Pisces is the last zodiac sign. So we're all going to be really doing a deep dive into our mental health. In society, we're seeing that, right? We're like really acknowledging that people's mental health is not where it should be and why, and what can we do as a society. So that's really going to be addressed as Saturn comes in and really forces us to mature as a society and collectively in this area of life, and to acknowledge it and to take responsibility for it. Also, Pisces rules arts and fantasy and creativity and imagination. It rules substances and psychedelics. It's very like that ethereal. So we can see a lot of new fashion, a lot of new creativity, a lot more imagination as Saturn kind of takes these ideas, this la la land thinking, and puts it more into like tangible things. So we can see a lot of art movement. We could see a lot more artists and going back to like people who paint and draw and innovate. A lot of structure around substances and psychedelics. This is something we're already kind of seeing in society, but like medicinal mushrooms are now coming out. What are the rules around this? Can everyone take them? Are they only legal in some states? What about other psychedelics? Does that open it up to LSD and, MDMA, like all that Saturn stuff? He's now going to put the rules and the boundaries on these areas of life. So very interesting. The other thing, like I was saying, is with Saturn not being in his power in Pisces, he's also going to get a roommate. And it's not his best friend of the zodiac. It is not his other favorite life coach planet. It is Neptune. And like I mentioned earlier, there could be nothing more opposite than Neptune and Saturn. Saturn is tough love dad, discipline, structure, like buttoned up. And Neptune is the dreamer, living on acid and la la land, thinking life is roses and butterflies and unicorns and praying and meditating and living in this ethereal space. So now they're going to be roommates for pretty much the next 3 years. So Saturn's going to have to put up with this. And Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. So he's at home here. And he has been here since like 2009. So he is really comfortable here. Like it's his art on the wall. It's, his favorite toilet paper in the bathroom. It's his, organization in the fridge. Saturn's coming in at a disadvantage and having to like fall under the spell of Neptune. So it's going to be very interesting. But you want to look at the Pisces area of your life. And this is, like I said, where you're going to have those lessons. Things that we can expect collectively over the next 3 years is more awareness, people waking up, a lot of society wake ups. This is very much in a spiritual space and an intuitive space, people tapping into their intuition, becoming aware of what's actually going on in society, right? Addressing the things that we don't normally want to see, but that exist behind the scenes. So there's going to be a lot of secrets and disclosure, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're also going to address our escapism. Pisces rules escapism, getting away from the realities of life, and falls a lot into addiction and substances. So with Saturn coming here, Lord Karma, we're going to have to face where are we escaping in our lives from our reality? What is real and what is not? But most importantly, like, Am I scrolling my phone because I don't want to face the fact that I don't have a happy relationship, or that my bills aren't paid, or that I'm miserable at my job, right? Like, am I escaping through my phone? Am I escaping by drinking or smoking or overeating, right? Where are these escapism behaviors, and how can we address our reality to not need to escape? So where are you running away from, or what are you trying to run towards? So that's really going to come up in the lessons we're going to have to learn. Again, with Pisces being that final zodiac sign, really processing a lot of emotions during these next 3 years. Grief is probably going to be a very big topic that many, many people are going to be talking about openly, addressing the fact that we really have gone through emotional shit the last 3 years. There has been a lot of grief, a lot of loss, a lot of change, a lot of emotions that a lot of people aren't dealing with. And that's going to be coming up, clearing that karma, facing reality, understanding what we've been through personally, collectively, in our family. Like, it's all going to come to the surface. And again, like I said, a lot of advancement of fashion, art, entertainment, medicinal drugs, all the things ruled by Pisces. And the biggest question for all of us is, what is real and what is not? Being on, a gaming stream and playing a video game with all your friends in this virtual reality, is that real to you, or is that not real? What is real in your life? What do you hold true? What do you value? Like, what is your reality? So that's going to be very interesting. So that is Saturn in Pisces. Major, major, major move this year. So we have Pluto moving into Aquarius, Saturn leaving Aquarius and moving into Pisces. And then we have Jupiter. Jupiter has been in Pisces. He's been clearing the scene for Saturn, who's going to enter on March 7th. Jupiter has been here most of 2022. So not something I want to harp on, because this was old news and this was last year. But again, Jupiter is the co-ruler with Neptune. He's been in his home sign. He's been living in La La Land. This is what has saved us in 2022. This energy during the harshest times of 2022, all the challenges, all the struggles, all of that, thank God they weren't so bad, because Jupiter has been in Pisces with Neptune, allowing us to dream of what our new future could be, allowing us to believe that we can actually quit our jobs and open a business of our own passions, right? He's been able to help us to live larger than life in our mind, and to believe that anything is possible in the new reality we want to create now in 2023. So thank God for that. And he's been expanding the area of life that is ruled for you by Pisces. So bringing a lot of awareness, bringing a lot of abundance, bringing a lot of blessings, opportunities, expansion in the Pisces area of your life, in your birth chart, that Saturn will now enter and create structure, and to rearrange it and to create solid foundations so it sticks around. So I don't want to harp too much on this, because we've already kicked off Jupiter in Aries as we started out 2023. This happened on December 20th, right at the end of last year. This is major, you guys, because like I mentioned, Pisces is the final zodiac sign, and Aries is the first zodiac sign. Aries goes first. So anytime a planet leaves Pisces and enters Aries, it starts all over again. And it goes right back to the beginning. And this is a huge reset for us energetically. And Jupiter reset by hitting Aries on December 20th. So this already started. And like I mentioned, Aries is the area of our life in the astrology that's going to be popping off. So it's already started. What happened for you around December 20th? What new things, what new opportunities? Did you feel more optimistic? Jupiter is our faith. It's our optimism. It's our belief. It's our worth. So what is the energy of Aries? Well, it's the toddler under 7. And you better get used to it, because like I said, it's going to be around with a lot of planets in it for the next 6 to 7 years. It's ruled by Mars. Mars is the warrior. It's the risk taker. It is bold. It is fearless. It is taking action. It is doing things, right? But most importantly, toddlers under 7 are a little selfish. And not in a selfish as we think of the word negative selfish, but self-preserving. My wants, my needs, what I desire matters more, because it's me and it's my life and my soul is here to grow. So I need to get what I need out of society, out of the world, out of my mission. Toddlers under 7, they will wear a Superman costume to school. They don't care what other people think. They want to wear their Superman costume or their Batman costume to school, right? They will climb to the top of a jungle gym, even though it's way bigger than them. And they're probably going to fall off. And if they do fall off, they just get right back up, right? They don't even think about it. They are bold and fearless. And they go first, right? Like they will run out into the middle of the street. They don't need mom to go first. They will go first, right? That's a scary thing about the Aries toddler under 7 energy, but they're bold. They're fearless. I'll go first. Let me go see what's over there, right? We kind of need to embody that energy. You don't, if you're the first one in your family to go to college, someone's got to go first, and it's going to be you, right? That's what we need to do. Also paying attention to your needs and your wants and being very clear with them. This is the energy we're going to start to embody. A lot of self-preservation, a lot of focus on the self, a lot of your desires coming to fruition. And Jupiter is the planet of expansion, blessing, opportunity, growth. The more you tap into yourself, the more you prioritize yourself, the more that you fill your cup, the more that you are bold and fearless, climb to the top of that jungle gym, Jupiter is going to bless you. But Jupiter usually hangs out in a zodiac sign for 1 year, but not this time. You can see here, he zips through Aries, zips right on through. Started December 20th, out by May, 5 months. You get 5 months to capitalize on this energy, to be bold, to be fearless. Now, if you're sitting here thinking, well, I don't really feel that way. I'm exhausted. I haven't even done my to-do list for 2023. I don't even know what my goals are. Remember, where we're sitting today right now as we're having this conversation, Mars is about to come out of retrograde. Mercury is still in retrograde. Uranus is in retrograde. We're not there yet. But Jupiter gives us hope and faith and optimism. And although we feel sluggish, and although we're frustrated, and although our mind is mush, there's a piece inside of us, our Jupiter, that gives us faith, that little piece of optimism that it's going to be okay and good things are coming and they're on their way. And they will. Once we get to mid-January, Jupiter's like, I'm here, let's do it. I've already been in Aries. I've been waiting for you to catch up. Let's do the thing. Okay. So this is going to open the energy for the eclipses. Because while Jupiter is in Aries, we have eclipses popping off in the same part of the sky. So that's going to be coming up in March and April for us. So what we can expect with this energy is to be bold, fearless in the pursuit of your passions, right? What is your passion? What do you desire? Take the risk, go for it. Take the lead in projects and tasks. Don't wait for your husband to initiate a renovation in your house. Don't wait for your boss to offer you a promotion. Take the lead, do the thing, just do it, right? Don't worry about what other people are doing. Do what you want to do. You want to go on that vacation? Go on that vacation. You don't need your best friend to go with you. You don't need your spouse or your partner to go with you. Go. Follow your passion. There's going to be a lot more fire, a lot more decisiveness, a lot more wanting things to happen quickly. This is why I said you got to buckle up, hold on, have your game plan, be ready to rock, because when things happen, doors are going to open, opportunities are going to present themselves, and you better know if it's a yes or no before you even get that opportunity, right? For me, it's like someone could ask me, hey, do you want to start doing hair at the salon? No, I already have that decision made, right? I know it. So when I get opportunities, I know what's yeses and I know what's nos. Because I know my own wants, needs, and boundaries. I know where I want to go. The plan, the Mercury retrograde right now is to get your plan, to strategize. That's what we're supposed to be doing right now, because when things happen, you're going to get a lot of opportunity. And you better know which ones to take and not take. And then also there's going to be a lot of acting before thinking. So we're going to get over a lot of analysis paralysis. And what I mean by that is oftentimes we spend a lot of time planning for things that we never end up doing. And now it's going to be role reversal. We're going to act, and then we're going to go back and figure out how to make it happen. So let's say you've been wanting to buy a house for a really long time, and this every time an opportunity has presented itself, you sit there with like, okay, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And by the time you make a decision, the offer is off the table. Now, this Jupiter in Aries, you're going to be like, I want that house. I love that house. I'll take it. And afterwards, you're going to figure out how to financially make it work, right? We're going to act, and then we're going to figure it out later, because on May 16th, Jupiter will move into Taurus. This is the second area of life that we're going to get a blessing in 2023. That is very rare, because we usually only get it in one zodiac sign. So this year, we're going to get it in Taurus, and Taurus is the builder. Taurus is when we take that Jupiter Aries, I just did it, I took the lead, I said yes, I just acted before thinking. Now, on May 16th, until all the way for one entire year, until May 24th of 2024, sorry, there should be a 4 here, we're going to build. We're going to slow down. We're going to implement things. We're going to do the work. We're going to get serious. We're going to fix it. We're going to make it solid. It's an earth sign. So we're going to get practical and realistic. We're going to really figure out how to make that happen, that we said yes to, that we took a risk on. Taurus rules over the earth. So the earth is goods and resources, oil, gas, fuel, water, agriculture. It rules the financial markets, our money, our values, what we hold dear, assets, house, and Bitcoin, and all the assets that you can think of. That's what Taurus rules over. It rules anything of quality. It loves luxury goods. It loves the finer things of life. It loves, like, I will buy the BMW because it will last me a lot longer than the Kia. Actually, nowadays that might be role reversed. But we're going to look at things with quality. What do I want to buy that I'm going to keep for a long time, right? So if you are a business owner, quality goods is where people are going to be wanting. Jupiter brings blessing, luck, expansion, growth, and opportunities to these areas of life. It's going to be a lot of new things happening in relation to the financial markets and the way that we use money and the way that we exchange money. We're going to get a lot of blessing and expansion regarding the earth and understanding, like, if we plant our own seeds, you know, we'll be able to sow them ourselves, literally, if you want to grow your own fruits and vegetables. The day that Jupiter moves into Taurus on May 16th is a very big day. So we'll talk about that when we go through month by month. But on that day, he's going to square Pluto. This is important because these two life coaches, the last time they met up was in 2020. Way at the beginning of this presentation, I said in 2020, we saw a 3 conjunction of 3 planets happening 3 times in 2020. And we knew something big was going to happen. And one of those planets was Jupiter, and one of those planets was Pluto. That was the last time they had a conversation. And on May 16th, they're going to have another conversation, but that conversation is in a square, opposing ideas, opposing energies, tough conversations. So we're going to see what happens in relation to these financial markets, in goods and resources. And mind you, Pluto is already in Aquarius in his new sign that he hasn't been in 250 years at this time. It's going to be a very interesting day in society to see what happens. Now, when Jupiter moves into Taurus, he's also going to have a roommate, and that roommate has been there for a hot minute, and that is Uranus. Uranus has been there since 2009, and he will be here for another 4 years. So Uranus is comfortable here, and Uranus is sudden, jolting, change, volatility, move to the future, shock people awake. This roommate situation, Jupiter and Uranus, only happens every 13 years. So this is very unique to 2023. So what we can expect once we get to May 16th for an entire year, not only for you in your life, wherever Taurus is in your birth chart, that's going to be where you're going to get more blessings, expansion, opportunities, growth, abundance, all of that. But in society, there's going to be a lot of innovation in how we work. The last time that this happened, we went and implemented a 40-hour work week. This was back in society when people could work all the time, day and night, sun up to sundown. The last time this happened, we entered into a 40-hour work week with paid overtime. Labor movements were happening. And now we're already seeing that in society with this conversation around 4-day work weeks, right? People working remotely, just get your work done as long as you get it done. It doesn't matter how long it takes you, right? These conversations are already starting. So we can see some of that expanding with Jupiter and Taurus, Taurus being the bull and the builder and the workhorse. So we have a lot of expansion and growth of money, financials, resources, assets, how we use them, how we value them, how we exchange them, all those things. A lot of abundance in the values and the finer things in life. So people wanting to go to 5-star resorts once a year versus going to 10 low quality budget hotels, right? A lot of people are going to switch their mindset and be like, I want to save up to go on that amazing epic vacation instead of just traveling to all these like towns and cities in my local area. So changing of the mindset of what we value. And then gaining a lot of wisdom. Jupiter is a teacher. And so we're going to gain a lot of wisdom in what Taurus rules over, and that is nature, agriculture, grounding, earthing, being more sensible, being more realistic, being more practical. So these are areas of life that we're all going to start kind of learning and focusing and expanding and growing into. So that is Jupiter in Taurus. Now, with that, like I mentioned very quickly, I'm going to just skip over this very fast. Uranus is already in Taurus. He has been here since 2019. He will be here till 2026. He is comfortable here. He's going to get Jupiter coming in as his roommate, but he's in most power. And this is already us seeing all this massive market change, financial upheaval, the way we handle money, what brings us pleasure, natural disasters. That is all due to Uranus in this time frame, and that's still going to last us a number of years. Okay, that leads us to Venus, the last planet that I really want to focus on for 2023. So again, all of you Libra in Taurus risings, Venus is your ruling planet, so pay attention. But for all of us that care about our relationships, we need to understand what Venus is up to in the sky. Venus is that life coach, teaching us about love, about relationships, about our money, about our possessions, bringing more art and beauty and fashion into our life. She just wants to make life more romantic, make life more beautiful, bringing in more of what and who you love. She will be doing a retrograde this year in Leo, like I mentioned earlier. Venus moves very quickly through each zodiac sign. So it's like 4 weeks in Aries, 4 weeks in Taurus, 4 weeks in Cancer, 4 weeks in all the signs very quickly. But then she gets to Leo this year on June 5th, and she hangs out here for 5 months. So whatever area of life for you is ruled by Leo, you are going to get a lot of Venus attention here. A lot of reevaluating of what you love and who you love and how much you love this area of your life. You're going to be able to get a chance to make it more romantic, make it more beautiful, make it more creative, bring in more assets and resources and possessions to this area of life. So it's very important to understand this. And you'll get 5 months of Venus visiting Leo in your chart. But very important for relationships, as she journeys through Leo, she will square Uranus, the planet of sudden jolting change, 3 times. So when we talk about relationships, there are 3 major volatile days because Venus retrogrades are very much about reanalyzing our relationships, reassessing if it's still beautiful, if it still brings us value, if it still feels nice, or what we can edit and cut out, right? Because retrogrades are redoing and reanalyzing. And so with this square to Uranus, this hard aspect, this sudden jolting cutting out, we might notice a lot of shifts this year in what and who we love. And so we can expect during this season in 2023, sudden breakups of contracts, of pledges, of promises, things that people said they would do or will do, breaking them, changing their mind, right? Venus retrograde. I don't love that anymore. I don't value that anymore. I don't want that anymore. It doesn't feel beautiful or nice. That could be marriages, that could be business contracts, that could be pretty much anything when it comes to relationships or things that you value. Finding a true expression of yourself. Leo is the lion. It is bold, it is brave, it is courageous, it is on stage, it's grand. Hear me roar, look at me, pay attention to me, give me love, praise me. So we're going to be tapping into Venus, what we love, some self-love, and expressing our own unique self and roaring like the lion that you are and aligning you to what makes you shine bright, what makes you unique, what puts you on stage, what do you know, what is your genius, what makes you shine, and being able to step into that. We're going to reevaluate a lot of what brings us joy, how to have more romance, how to step into your passion or to be more passionate in your relationships or with the people around you, and just make life a little bit more grand. Leo is a lion. It is bold AF. It is like, take me on a jet, bring me 5 dozen roses and tell me I'm freaking amazing all day, every day. Grandness, bringing grandness into our life and making it romantic. This is really exciting energy. So these are your dates. On June 5th, Venus officially enters Leo. This is when this energy kicks off, and it lasts all the way until October 8th. But that retrograde will happen. The reevaluation period will be between July 22nd and September 3rd. So I would not recommend anyone get married, anyone get engaged. Don't even change relationships. If you're in a relationship, it's just like let it play out. And then when the retrograde is over on September 3rd, then you can rethink, because relationships that end during a Venus retrograde usually have some loose ends that have to get tied up afterwards, but not good for relationships. Just honor it. Don't go on a romantic vacation. You're going to have this Uranus square in there where you might be a little volatile and it might push you to say something or do something you don't mean or you regret when the retrograde is over. So much more to talk about, and I promise I will make so many videos as the time comes up. I will guide you through this entire retrograde, but I just want you to know this in advance. And lastly, we're going to talk about the eclipses. Eclipses are so important. Again, they deal with the nodes of destiny, fate, karma, moving towards, moving away from. Our free will is tied. I talk so much about eclipses. We've been in Scorpio, Taurus, and in this year, we're going to enter into Aries and Libra, brand new eclipse cycle. But we're still going to play out the old. Okay, so eclipse cycles are 18-month cycles. Now, in 2023, we have this new cycle beginning. So we are currently in the North Node, what we're moving towards. Think of North Node as new. It's a North Star, where we're going, what we're looking towards, what we're gaining, has been in Taurus, where Jupiter is and Uranus is. And that's ruled by Venus. And what we're South Node releasing, karma, letting go of, has been in Scorpio. So in the Scorpio area of your life, we're letting go, releasing trauma, releasing fears, releasing triggers, releasing old wounds. And that's ruled by Mars. But now we're flip-flopping. As we move into the new eclipse cycle, the North Node will be in Aries, which is ruled by Mars. So we went from Mars being karma, fate, letting go, to stepping into new actions, new masculine tendencies, new desires, new passions, new decisions, because we let go of a bunch of old decisions, a bunch of old ways of being, a bunch of old actions that we took a long time ago. We let it go. So now we get to start over and make new decisions and take new choices. Same thing as we move into South Node, moving into Libra from Scorpio, this is now Venus. Venus has been the direction we've been going into, tapping more into our femininity, tapping more into abundance and flow and receiving and desiring and more love and more beauty in our life. But now we're going to let go of the things that no longer feel beautiful, that don't flow, that don't make us feel feminine, that don't make us feel beautiful, that don't make us feel good. We're going to let go of those things this year. And a lot of that is relationship oriented, Libra ruling relationships. Okay, so it's just something to kind of energetically pay attention to. This is another slide that goes over all of what I just said. Again, I'm not going to repeat all of it, but I have workshops and lots of YouTube videos talking about Taurus and Scorpio and this eclipse cycle we've been in. But now we're going to move into this Aries and Libra one that we really need to understand for 2023. Ruled by Mars, we're moving towards more decision, more action, towards our passion, towards our desires, my needs, my wants, that selfish energy. I'm talking about Aries is going to be so active that we better get used to it. Leadership, being a little bit more selfish, following the pursuit of your passions, putting yourself first. What you want matters more than what someone else wants you to do or how someone else needs you, right? When your cup is full, you can give from the overflow. That's what we're going to learn in this cycle. But Libra over here, what we're moving away from, the South Node, all the eclipses happening in Libra are helping us to move away from people pleasing and romanticizing things in our lives that don't deserve to be romanticized. Sometimes we start dating someone and think, God, they are the best thing since sliced bread. And then we romanticize them and realize they're just freaking human too with their own traumas. And you got to love them for where they're at. And that's what we're going to really be facing this year as South Node. We're releasing and cutting all those old romantic beliefs that we had. We're going to get rid of harmony and people pleasing. Don't people please just to keep the peace. That does not keep the peace. It brews it under the surface. We're going to get rid of overgiving, cutting out how I am giving way too much of myself to work, to friends, to family, to other people, and understand where we are under receiving. Where am I not asking other people to step up and give to me? And again, remember when it comes to these eclipses, when I give you the dates of these eclipses, this is nothing you have to do. Eclipses are fated, destined events. They are external circumstances that will happen to you. They will happen to you. You just need to pay attention. So this would be, for instance, being with a friend and you're always paying. And around this eclipse, maybe you go to dinner with them and you tell them ahead of time, hey, I need you to, pay for half. And you get there and they forgot their wallet. External circumstance that was like the icing on the cake. And you're like, you know what? I can't anymore. I am not receiving what I need out of this friendship. Those kind of things, external circumstances that really make you go, oh my gosh, okay, I hear the message. Eclipses are getting me back on track. So that's what you're going to pay attention to. And again, I will have videos for each one of these eclipses. We're going to get rid of our toxic feminine, right? Where am I like just trying to be the nice girl and the loving wife, but you're not asking for your needs or wants to be met. So we'll talk a lot more about that. And essentially, don't sacrifice just to keep the peace and let go of those old relationships that are no longer fair to who you want to be and in the direction of your passion. Here are the dates of those eclipses, just real quick. The first eclipse season is on April 20th. That's a solar eclipse. It starts off with a new moon in Aries. So we're starting off with new moon, new beginning in Aries area of our life, and it's going to be conjunct Jupiter. So that means where the moon is in the sky, the sun is in the sky, because new moons are when the sun and the moon are hugging, and Jupiter will be hugging them in a big old bear hug, bringing in luck and abundance and blessing. And this is happening at 29 degrees. 29 is the final degree point of every single zodiac sign. It starts over at 0 of the next sign. And we call that an aneteric degree. Anytime a planet is at an aneteric degree, it is its last power point before it moves into the next sign, and it usually goes out with a bang. But because the eclipses move backwards, it's actually the first sign. It's the first degree point, I mean. And then it moves all the way back to 0 degrees of that sign. So this is the first degree, the first eclipse at the first degree at the aneteric point. And this is actually going to be a blue moon. Major day, April 20th. That's when eclipse season starts. So fated destined events, all these things are happening. We can't explain it. We just got to pay attention. And then we have the second eclipse, which is a full moon on May 5th. And that is the last one happening in Scorpio and Taurus in the Scorpio side. And this one is at 14 degrees, and it activates that 15-degree spot of Taurus. So again, if you have planets at 15 or 5 degrees of Taurus, this is the day to pay attention to, because this full moon will activate that 15-degree point. And it's opposite Uranus. So this is sudden. This is like a gotta let it go, trauma, trigger, fear, old news, gotta go. Uranus is going to shake it up, make it so obvious. Goodbye. Fated destined event of releasing. Then we get to recover from that. And we have the second eclipse season at the end of the year. On October 14th, we start off with a new moon in Libra. This is that Aries Libra eclipse cycle. And that's going to be the south node. So we're going to release here. This is the area of life where we're releasing Libra, south node. But we're going to actually start with something new. We're going to begin to let go of something. It's not going to be a quick let go. We're going to begin to let go over the next 18 months. And that's going to be conjunct Mercury. So we're really going to be thinking at this time of what we need to let go of. And then on October 28th, it is the final eclipse in Scorpio and Taurus. This is it. And this is that 5-degree point. Remember, I said 5 and 15 degrees out of all 360 in Taurus, 5 degrees of Taurus and 5 degrees and 15 degrees of Taurus. This is that second eclipse that activates that spot. So this is the one where like, I'm done letting it go. I don't even want to talk about this topic anymore. I'm so freaking over it. We have so many new things by the time we get to this date that we're so ready to let go in the Taurus area of our life. So that's a big date as well. Okay, so I'm just going to recap for you guys real quick this Aries area of our life as to why it is so important. So we're going to recap it in its entirety. Starting on December 20th, right now, we already have Jupiter here. So this is Aries. This is the symbol you're going to look for in your birth chart. This is dependent upon your rising sign. And if you have any planets in Aries, they will all be activated over the next 6 years of all this chaos happening. Starts with Jupiter, already here. Opening statement, first scene in the story. What blessing, what expansion, what growth, what prosperity, how are we opening up this area of our life? On March 12th, Jupiter will run into this little symbol right here, and that is Chiron. And Chiron is a wound. Chiron is a healer. So there's going to be a wound. Jupiter is going to expand this wound. It's going to make it obvious. And we're going to have to start healing some trauma, triggers, fears, wounds, something that is blocking us, something that is holding us back from stepping into our Aries passion, Aries desire, into our new direction, right? Because Aries goes first. Look, it's number 1. Pisces, like we keep talking about where Saturn is endings, clearing, purging, 12, final, goodbye, moving into Aries, starting new. So we're going to heal some wounds so we can really start new. And that's going to be around March 12th. And that happens at 15 degrees in the middle of the sign because there's only 30. So by March 12th, Jupiter he's in it. We're doing the damn thing at this time. Retrograde free. There is no retrogrades. Like we are in it by March 12th. On March 21st, the sun, which is currently in Capricorn, right? We know it's Capricorn season. We just looked at that in our journal. When the sun gets to Aries, just like I mentioned with every planet, when it leaves Pisces at 29 degrees of Pisces and enters into 0 degrees of Aries, we start over. And this is what the astrological new year is dependent on. When the sun gets to Aries, we start a new astrological year. And so on March 21st, the sun moves into Aries and we kick off the astrological year. This is so freaking exciting. And on that same exact day, we have a new moon in Aries. So this year in 2023, we kick off the astrological year with a new moon in Aries while Jupiter is here in his full power. This is such an exciting day. And that's not always how the new year begins. So big day to party. Stay tuned because I might be throwing a party. And then 1 month later on April 20th, we have our second new moon in Aries. Because that first one is at 0 degrees of Aries, the second one ends up being at 29 degrees. That was that eclipse that we just talked about at the aneteric degree. The first eclipse in the Aries and Libra eclipse cycle, the second new moon in Aries of the year, back to back, making it a blue moon. So not only does Jupiter open up this Aries area of our life, but in 2023, we get 2 new moons here, 2 opportunities to set new intentions, to start new things in the Aries area of our life with Jupiter here, with its power. The second one being an eclipse, a fated destined event, a starting point of 18 months of a cycle as a blue moon. Super powerful. So that's what you see right here. And then on May 24th, so this is going to play out, right? Jupiter's here until May, then he leaves and goes into Taurus. Once we get to that eclipse on April 20th on 4/20, this eclipse point moves into Aries. That's going to hang out here for 18 months, hanging out right here. April 20th starts this year, and the eclipses will happen here until March 29th of 2025. And as that happens and fades out, by that point, Saturn will be done with his journey in Pisces, and then Saturn will enter Aries. When the eclipses leave in 2025, Saturn will enter in 2025 and hang out until 2028. So then Saturn will be here until 2028, solidifying, creating new foundations, bringing structure, making more commitments in this area of your life. And while that happens, Neptune will also be entering Aries right here in 2026. So from December 20th of 2022, right now where we sit today, this area of life will be activated all the way until 2028. This is huge. This is major. So much to talk about when we do personal readings. And I know we're like wrapping up on almost 2 hours here, and this is so much information. So I hope you're still following along. What I want to do now is just give you that overview and just talk about the upcoming year month by month and give you the highlights. So a lot of these pages you can either screenshot or just go back. I just give you an overview. January right now, we're resting and planning. A very slow start of 2023 until we get to the 22nd, and then it's go time. February, it is full go time. We have no retrogrades after the 22nd. So end of January, all of February, all of March, all the way until April 21st. We have no retrogrades. So February is go time. There's no major transits. Nothing crazy is happening. We just clear, smooth sailing. Once we get to March and April, that's when those eclipses happen. That's when Saturn moves into Pisces, Pluto moves into Aquarius. We have all the eclipses. This is the time where Aries really gets activated, and we're going to be making decisions and opportunities coming, and decide which way you're going to go. Things are going to come at you left and right. May and July, we get ready for hot girl summer. That is Venus and Leo. Mars is going to be in full swing. Mars will be in Leo. We get Mars and Venus, the lovers of the zodiac, together. Relationships can get fiery. There's a lot of volatility. Planets start going into retrograde in June and into July. So there's retrogrades beginning. It's just gonna be a hot summer in many ways. Once we get to August into October, that's that 8 retrogrades active. We slow way down and we go into that last retrograde cycle of Taurus and Scorpio, which at that point we are so freaking over it. We don't even want to talk about it again. It'll be the smoothest release we've ever experienced in our life because we're so done with it. And then November, December is kind of easy. It's just kind of boring compared to what happened. And we kind of end the year with like just wrapping it up. So that's kind of refreshing. These are all the new moons to note of the year. You can screenshot this. The first one is coming up next week. That's a new moon in Aquarius. Venus is conjunct Saturn. Venus is what we love and who we love. Saturn is about making commitments, setting boundaries. So in relationships, we're really going to feel that. Then we have that first new moon in Aries I was talking about on the astrological new year, where Jupiter comes in with a big bear hug of the sun and the moon, really blessing these new beginnings. And then we have that blue moon a month later. Then on July 17th, we have a new moon in Cancer. This is the day that the official node of destiny moves into Aries. This is the official day. Then on August 16th, we have a new moon in Leo. That is conjunct Venus retrograde. So that Leo area of our life where Venus is kind of shifting and changing. This is kind of that halfway point where we're like, okay, I see which relationships got to go. I figured out what I really love. This is kind of that halfway point. And then we have that last eclipse. That's a new moon, kind of important to pay attention to. We just talked about that. These are your full moons to note. There's only 4 major full moons of the year. They're all important, but these are the major ones. The first one is on March 7th. That is the day that Saturn moves into Pisces. Like I said, Saturn only moves signs once every 2.5 to 3 years. And the fact that the day he moves is the same day as a full moon in Virgo, meaning the sun will be in Pisces at this time. This is a major day. We'll talk more about that on my YouTube channel when that event comes up. We have that eclipse, that May 5th eclipse. We have the October 28th eclipse. And then we have that blue moon, like I mentioned, near my birthday, and August 30th, the full moon in Pisces. That's the second full moon in August. August 1st, we have a full moon. August 30th, we have a full moon. 2 full moons in 1 calendar month, also a blue moon. This one's going to be conjunct Saturn. So this is going to be like one of the hardest full moons of the year because Saturn's involved. And Saturn retrograded at 7 degrees of Pisces. So a little challenging full moon. Retrograde season, again, lots of retrogrades. I talk about it in the retrograde journal. Here's your cheat sheet. We have no retrogrades from January 22nd to April 21st. And then we have the peak in September. This is what Pluto tries to teach us. This is what Saturn teaches us. This is what Neptune teaches us. The only one I really want to make note of is the fact that Saturn is retrograde in Pisces and Neptune is retrograde in Pisces at the exact same time, from June 30th until November 4th. So that Pisces area of your life, you're going to have some reevaluating, some lesson learning to do with Saturn retrograding here, okay? Also, seeing that Saturn moves into Pisces this year, remember, on March 7th, Saturn is entering Pisces on March 7th. He makes it to 7 degrees of Pisces and he goes right back to zero, where he started on March 7th. This is important to understand because Saturn teaches lessons and he is Lord Karma. So we need to understand that whatever we do this year between March 7th and the end of his retrograde on November 4th, we can't go wrong. Saturn's going to watch you. Remember, he's rewarding and punishing after his retrograde's over. And because he's going back to zero, he's like, you know what? I'm going to give you a trial period. I want to see how mature you are in this area of your life. I want to see how responsible you are. Remember, Pisces is your intuition. Pisces is your spirituality. Pisces is your Jesus, compassion, empathy, forgiveness energy. He's going to give you a chance to show him how responsible you are so that he knows how to teach you when he gets back to zero. He's like, all right, I'm going to start over. I got it. I watched you. I get it. I know where you're at in this life. Now I know how hard to teach you. So really learning and understanding where to take personal responsibility and to have more discipline and structure and commitment in the Pisces area of your life is going to serve you so well this year. So that his lessons aren't coming in so hard once we get to November 4th, because that's when the karma is served. And you'll see that in your retrograde journal. Saturn's retrogrades are very karma incurring, and then they are served after the retrograde is over. This is your Venus retrograde in Leo that we talked a lot about. Chiron's going to be retrograde. Uranus is doing his annual retrograde, and then Jupiter's retrograde. Want to just touch on Jupiter's retrograde in Taurus. It is at 15 degrees to 5 degrees. This is the exact same part in the sky, that Mercury will retrograde over. But Mercury goes first, okay? So in your chart, if you have any planets between 5 degrees and 15 degrees of Taurus, first Mercury is going to come in and reevaluate this area of life. And then Jupiter is going to come in, and Jupiter brings growth and structure, okay? So just important areas. We'll talk so much more about that as those events come up. But knowing, here's the thing with Jupiter retrogrades. Jupiter expands, brings blessing, opportunity, growth, luck, prosperity, all the goodness, right? Brings it in, faith, hope, optimism. But when he retrogrades, that shit dries up. So by the time you get to September 4th, expect your opportunities to come to a halt. Your growth, your prosperity, your luck, all of it comes to a halt because Jupiter is the teacher. And he's going to say, you got to work with what you got. Are you still going to have faith in yourself? Are you still going to believe in yourself when you're not getting clients left and right? When your relationship isn't going as perfect as it was? When all these great luck and blessings happen to you and that gets dried up, do you still have faith, right? And you're going to work with what you got. That's when you actually start to implement all the things you've been given up to that point. And notice how it lasts until December 30th. So what you got is what you got by the time you get to September 4th, especially in the Taurus area of your life. And then Mercury's retrogrades, like I mentioned, are all in air sign or earth signs this year. So Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn again. Where Mercury ends his retrograde next week on January 18th, he ends it at 8 degrees of Capricorn. That is the exact same degree, 8 degrees of Capricorn, that he picks up again, his retrograde, on December 13th of this year. So we're going to pick up where we left off. And when he's in Capricorn, we are re-game planning. Again, it's the mind. We're re-strategizing, re-looking at your long-term vision. Capricorn rules long-term goals. So right now, you should be looking at what you want and how you're going to get there. Have that game plan. But so much is going to happen this year. So many new things, new planets and new signs and new eclipses and new moons and blue moons, that by the time we get to the end of the year, we got to pick up. Do we still want to follow the plan that we started right now? Do we still have the same long-term vision, or has it changed? And so we got to pick up where we left off. This is that Mercury retrograde, like I said, 15 degrees of Taurus to 5 degrees Taurus. You have any planets at 15 Taurus or at 5 degrees Taurus? This is why. And anything in between will also be affected for the retrograde purpose. So you're going to reevaluate what you want to build. Taurus is the builder. What's the plan? What's the reality? How are we going to get there, right? We're going to reevaluate that building process. And then Jupiter will come in and help open that up. And then we have a Virgo Mercury retrograde. He is in his home sign. He rules Virgo, full power. Virgo is the perfectionist. This is the details. This is the organization. This is the structure. This is the critiquing. This is a very critiquing mental space. So be very careful in relationships as a relational astrologer. Anytime Mercury is in Virgo, we are critiquing and nitpicking the shit out of everything in our life. And this Mercury retrograde will be great for looking at the details of things in your life and to organize and structure, but it can come with a little bit of nitpicking and trying to be perfect. So just pay attention to this season here as well. And that's also when Venus is retrograde. So again, Venus retrograde in our relationships, this will just not be a good time for relationships or getting married this summer. So just pass that along to all your friends and everyone that needs to know it. And if they need a different date to get married, come send them to me. We will look at their chart. That's what I do. Real quick, month by month, these are the dates. This is going to be recorded, so you can go back and fill in your retrograde journal. This is where I was mentioning where you can open up. So for the first one, it is going to be on page 8. That is January in your retrograde journal. You can go ahead and fill in the calendar. On January 1st, we started with Jupiter at 1 degree of Aries. On the 12th, it is in here in your retrograde journal. Mars goes direct, Mercury goes direct. That means they come out of retrograde. January 22nd, Uranus comes direct, and we have no retrogrades for 12 weeks. So on the 22nd, it is go time. You can put a little beautiful star or something on the 22nd, go time, right? And then on January 27th of this month, like I said, I love to know where Venus is because I'm a relational astrologer. And when Venus gets into Pisces, it is dreamy AF. Remember, Pisces rules the ethereal, the spiritual, the Jesus energy, compassion and love and romance and living in la la land. And when Venus gets there, the way we love people is with a little bit more compassion and empathy, and we get loved in return by other people. Because remember, everyone's being influenced by this energy. So this is actually the best time to go on a dreamy romantic getaway, to profess your love to someone, to go do like an over-the-top date night. If you are into painting, drawing, entertainment, the arts, creation, this is a great time to do that, where Venus is going to bring more beauty and for other people to see the beauty in what you create. So I love this energy. But it doesn't last very long. Like I mentioned, Venus moves into Aries. I didn't put this date down here. Let me quick look it up because I think that is important to mention. Venus moves into Aries on February 20th. So we have this romantic energy over Valentine's Day. But on February 20th, she moves into Aries, where things get hot and spicy and volatile. In February, if you fast forward into your retrograde journal to February, which is on page 18, as we start February, it is the last fight with Saturn and Uranus. This shit's going to wrap up. We are not going to feel the tension between what we should be doing and moving towards our future goals and dreams, out of society's norms, in the direction of our authentic self and what we truly want for our future, our crazy little alien selves. We're going to feel more in alignment with that and less of what we should be doing, okay? On February 11th, this is when Pluto gets ready to move into Aquarius. This is when we need to pay attention in society to what underworld shit, what is he going to dredge to the surface in regards to Capricorn, which is structure, institutions, governments, rules, anything that has like boundaries around it. Pluto hits 29 degrees. And like I mentioned, 29 degrees is the aneteric degree, and that planet goes out with a bang. Last final lesson, last final thing to dredge something up to the surface. So we need to look at in society, power, control. Where are people trying to grasp onto control one final time to keep their power? Where are secrets going to get dredged up? What things are going to come out of the darkness and into the light for us to acknowledge? This is major, February 11th. And then, like I said, he moves into Aquarius on March 23rd. So it's about a month, 5 weeks of this. On February 15th, Venus conjuncts Neptune. This is beautiful for Valentine's Day energy, right? In Pisces, Neptune's home sign. So we're going to be romanticizing people. We're going to be fantasizing. Be careful if you're going on a first date. You are going to be under the influence of this energy, and you are probably going to romanticize your date. And then afterwards, you're going to be like, oops, they weren't that amazing. But it's dreamy and romantic and something to capitalize on. The sun moves into Pisces on February 18th. So this is very beautiful as well. But whenever the sun moves into Pisces, remember Pisces is the last final zodiac sign, and we're getting ready for the astrological new year coming up in March. So the sun brings with it the energy, the heat, the vitality, the awareness. It's like a spotlight, and it shines on things. So we're going to shine on things in our life that we need to release and let go of, right? This is going to be a very clearing time in our life. And I call it the crying season. People do a lot of crying when the sun is in Pisces, and that's okay. We are releasing old emotions, old fears. Like you might cry because you're happy. You might cry because you're sad. Like think of it like rain. We're going to wash it away with our tears, and that's okay. On February 26th, Saturn hits, this should be 29, sorry, not 28, 29 degrees of Aquarius. This is Saturn's last hurrah. If you were going through your Saturn return in Aquarius, this is your last final lesson learning period. This will last from February 26th until March 7th when Saturn moves into Pisces, okay? So it's about a week and a half or so of Saturn giving you one final lesson at the aneteric degree. On March 2nd, now you'll go in your retrograde journal, to page 23. March 2nd, Venus meets up with Jupiter. We love this because Jupiter is the planet of expansion and growth and blessing and prosperity and living, like, 10 shots dance on the table. Venus, our planet of love and romance, meets up with Jupiter in Aries. Bold, decisive, taking action, being fearless. I'll tell you my wants. I'll tell you my needs. I'll tell you my boundaries. It's all about me. You're going to love me and who I am and what I need. So this will be a really good day where Jupiter is going to expand this energy. A little selfish, a little demanding. It's okay. We need it. We have to embrace the Aries energy, become that toddler under 7 and kick and scream for your candy because you deserve it, and get used to it. Everyone's going to be doing it. On March 7th, this is that major day where Saturn moves into Pisces, and we have a full moon in Virgo happening on the same day. It's going to be a very illuminating day. March 20th, we have the astrological new year. What? It happens at 5:24 p.m. Officially, the sun will move into Aries. And the next day in the afternoon, we have the moon catching up, and we have a new moon in Aries. So that's happening in the afternoon on the 21st. So very big major day, resetting new beginnings in Aries. And then on March 23rd, Pluto moves into Aquarius. Talk so much about that. 0 degrees of Aquarius is a very important place in the sky. At this exact place, at this address, let's say this address, Mars and Saturn met here in 2020, and the lockdowns happened almost to the date. Then Saturn and Jupiter met up here in 2020 at the exact same address. If you guys remember way back in that, we had the Christmas star, everybody went outside and they looked up at the Christmas star, not a star, pisses me off as an astrologer because it's Saturn and we need to respect Saturn. He's our tough love dad. It was not a star. It was Saturn and Jupiter in the sky conjunct with each other that we could see so bright and visible from Earth. And on that day, we had the vaccines that came out. So this address, when Pluto moves at this address, something major can happen. And like I mentioned, he is just previewing what's to come for the next 2 decades. We talked all about that Pluto and Aquarius transition and what's to be coming, and that's the preview of the next cycle. On March 25th, Mars moves into Cancer. This is insane because if you've been following my Mars and Gemini, Mars retrograde shit, I've been talking about Mars and Gemini since August of 2020. Okay. Sorry, August of 2022. It's getting late, but I'm going to power through. We're almost there. Thank you for bearing with me. Mars has been in Gemini since August of last year. and he is a masculine. He likes to do, he likes to go, he loves to make decisions, like run with pants on fire, left lane, gas pedal, like beat the timer on the GPS. That is Mars. He spends about 6 weeks in a zodiac sign, but now he's been stuck in Gemini for 7 months. Tomorrow, he comes out of retrograde. So he's feeling a little bit better and we're getting our energy back. But on March 27th, he's still going to be in Gemini from tomorrow all the way till March 27th. And he officially moves into Cancer. But he doesn't love to be in Cancer. Cancer is a water sign. So you put Mars, action, fire, passion into a water sign. He's like trying to swim really freaking hard, but not going very fast. Okay, so he'll be a little frustrated still, but at least he's not in Gemini. He gets some new energy. Big day. Change of energy, change the way that we act and think and make decisions. It'll be more in a Cancer, soft, feminine, nurturing, intuitive way that we're going to make decisions at that point forward. March 30th, Venus conjuncts Uranus, who she's going to square during her retrograde. We said, remember, during her retrograde, she's going to come into a square with Uranus, where he's going to come in with volatility, sudden upsets, shakeups in relationships and what we love and what brings us pleasure. Before she has that square off with him in the summer, on March 30th, they're going to come conjunct. They're going to meet up in the sky, and Venus is going to be like, yo, bro, like, you want to blow stuff up in my life? Then we got to figure it out. So this is a preview to that. Look in your life when it comes to relationships, money, your valuables, all the things that Venus rules, what brings you beauty and romance and harmony and pleasure, because you might get a little sudden shakeup, a little sudden unexpected thing, good or bad. Like, there is no good or bad in astrology, but like something's shaken up. Uranus moves you to the future, right? And if you don't let it go on your own, he will step in to do it for you. Choose change before change chooses you. Choose change before Uranus does it for you, blows your house up and forces you to move to Spain because you were too scared to do it by yourself. Okay, so pay attention to that day. Then we move into April, 2 major days, 420, that new moon eclipse, April 21st, retrograde season begins, officially with Mercury kicking off the season. The day he kicks it off, he's conjunct Uranus. Again, Uranus, sudden jolting change. This is where we're going to clean house before Jupiter comes in for the party at the same degree points that Mercury is going to retrograde on April 21st. Big days. May, we move into May. May is a very active month. There is a lot of stuff. I couldn't even fit it all onto the slide. So I just want you to pay attention when you get to May. It's go time. So on page 35 of your retrograde journal, May 1st, Pluto starts his retrograde, right? He's in Aquarius at 0 degrees. He's going back to Capricorn. We're going to figure that out. That is the same day that we have the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde, also volatile. We get the aha, the awareness, the thing that we're supposed to be figuring out. May 5th, we have an eclipse, still eclipse season. May 14th, Mercury's retrograde ends. May 16th, Jupiter officially moves into Taurus. We're loving this, right? Because he zipped through Aries and we move into Taurus. So you can put that in your retrograde journal. That's not in there. May 19th, we have the new moon in Taurus. That's the first new moon in Taurus that has not been an eclipse since 2021. So in 2 years. So that will be a very smooth, beautiful new moon in Taurus that we're all looking forward to. And then on May 20th, Mars finally moves into Leo. We just talked about that. He was stuck in Gemini for 7 months. In a retrograde, so over it. Then he moves into Cancer, not happy here. Once we get to May 20th and Mars, the fire, the warrior, gets into Leo, a fire sign, this is when our energy gets a little Leo bold, gets a little in the direction of our passion. We are making decisions. We are on fire. We are doing the damn thing. Okay. So this brings a lot of fire and heat to our lives, to other people's lives. This is a very different change of energy that we have not experienced thus far, even though at this point we've had eclipses and planets have changed and Jupiter already went through Aries. We've had those new moons in Aries. This is going to even turn the volume up more, like even more, throw more gas onto the fire, guys. And when this happens, he will be opposite Pluto retrograde, right? So what else are we dredging up? And he's going to be in a square with Jupiter, who's going to expand it and make it even bigger. And the North Node is going to be involved with this. It's a T-square in astrology. So we have fated destined events. It's a lot. By the time we get to the end of May, it is volume up to 100, maxed out. Then we get into June. That's going to be on page 42 in your retrograde journal. June 1st, Jupiter conjuncts the North Node. And this is the very lucky day, very, very lucky day. It is fated. It is destiny comes knocking. It is a beautiful day. Yeah, just put it in your calendar. It's gonna be a nice day. June 5th, Venus moves into Leo, joins Mars, her lover. This is where the lovers of the zodiac come back together. Mars and Venus, when they are together, bringing the harmony into our lives, the masculine and the feminine, relationships come together, but it's in Leo where she's about to do her retrograde. We talked about that, right? So whatever is getting activated in the Leo area of your life, Mars is already there. Because remember, at the end of May, he had this whole spicy thing with Pluto, Jupiter, and North Node. And then Venus shows up to the party. So it's like, all right, what are we doing here? What do I need to retrograde? What passion is happening? June 11th, Pluto goes back into Capricorn. That's when we go back to refinish out those things. On June 17th, Saturn goes retrograde in Pisces. He goes back to where he started. Remember, he goes back to 0. June 20th, Mars gets the closest he's going to get to Venus. They're like within 4 degrees of each other. So relationships get very electric at this point. And then by June 30th, Neptune goes retrograde in Pisces. At that point, Neptune and Saturn are both retrograde in Pisces going into July. July 1st, in your retrograde journal, you will go to page 51. Venus squares Uranus for the first time. So this is the date you want to mark on your calendar. That is that first Venus-Uranus square, the first volatile, sudden, jolting, unexpected, shocking, liberating, take the shackles off, call for freedom. Be unique, be authentic in your relationships, say it like you mean it. And that's going to be that first shakeup to relationships. On July 17th is when the North Node officially, even though we've had eclipses in Aries already, this is the official actual starting of that. So that Aries area of your life gets even more destiny, more fated events. July 20th, Mars is opposite Saturn retrograde. This happens only every 2 years, and it's usually a fight. It is a hot, hot day. So just be careful on that day. Like I said, the summer is not a good, very romantic summer unless you are wanting to improve your relationship by getting to the root of your issues and making sure that it's still what you love by the end of it. July 22nd, Venus goes retrograde. That's her official retrograde. And it's the same day that the sun moves into Leo, where she is retrograding. July 23rd, Chiron goes retrograde, move into August. That is going to be on page 60 of your retrograde journal. This is when we have another blue moon this month. August 1st, we have a full moon in Aquarius, and we end the month with another full moon in Pisces. So 2 full moons in August. This one's the blue moon, and this is at that same degree point where Saturn went retrograde. I mentioned that earlier. The second time Venus squares Uranus is August 9th. That's during her retrograde. So whatever got popped off the month before will come back around to be finished. August 13th, the sun and the Venus, it's the halfway point of her retrograde. So it's like oh, okay, this is what's wrong in my relationships. Oh, this is what would bring more beauty or pleasure or romance in my life. Oh, I didn't know that this could be possible, right? We get the aha moment. August 23rd, Mercury goes retrograde in Virgo. That's that nitpicking Mercury retrograde. And the sun also goes into Virgo that exact same day. Uranus goes retrograde on August 28th. And then we get into September, the peak of retrograde season. So when you go in your retrograde journal and you go to page 70, that's where you see all the active retrogrades in that blue box. But at the beginning of the month, Venus comes out of retrograde. September 4th, Jupiter goes into retrograde. That is when our abundance dries up. So make sure you note that on your retrograde journal. That's the 4th. Your opportunities kind of slowly dry up. Mercury comes out of retrograde halfway through the month. We have a full moon in Aries on the 29th. Full moon in Aries is halfway through the astrological year. So this full moon marks the halfway point of the year. So we really assess and we take pause, right? We just slow down and go, okay, where have I come so far? This one's not an eclipse. This is the first time we've had a full moon in Aries that's not an eclipse in the last 2 years. So different energy. September 29th is that final Venus square with Uranus. So if your relationship, if what you love, your valuables, your money, whatever has made it thus far, it is meant to be. It is meant to be. We get to October. This is the time of year where things start to slow down. It's not as volatile. The retrogrades are ending. Venus is done with her shenanigans, like the Scorpio Taurus eclipse cycle. This is the final one. Goodbye. It's over. We're now in only Aries and Libra for the next 1.5 years. So we have this eclipse, and Pluto goes direct. So that's exciting. In November, Saturn comes out of retrograde. This is when karma is served. He's back at 0 degrees of Pisces. So did you show him how responsible and mature you are in the Pisces era of your life? That's what you want to have. That's your goal by then. November 8th, Venus is finally in Libra. She is the ruler of Libra. She is home in Libra. She cannot wait to get to Libra. This is going to make relationships dreamy. She comes out of her retrograde. If your relationship has made it, like I said, thus far, this is the time to celebrate. This is maybe the time to get married or to go on a romantic vacation or to whatever, or maybe start dating again or commit to the person that you've made it through the summer with. This will feel really good. November 11th, 11/11 is a volatile day, which kind of bums me out because I love 11/11. And Mars is opposite Uranus. Remember, Mars is like action and war and aggression and fighting, and Uranus is like jolt and change and liberation. This will be a volatile day. And November 13th, we have a new moon in Scorpio. So this is like right in this Mars opposite Uranus energy. This is going to be kind of a wild one. So we can get unexpected accidents, unexpected actions. People do things that are unexpected. Maybe we take a bold action we didn't think about. But essentially, whatever has been brewing is going to come up to the surface. And this is the first one that's not an eclipse as well in Scorpio in a very long time. The last one happens in the spring. And that's it. And then we get to December. Sorry, I forgot to say the pages for October and November, but I'm sure you can figure it out. So that last one is December in your calendar, page 87. On December 6th, Neptune goes direct. December 13th, Mercury goes retrograde in Capricorn, where he picked up that he left off that on the 18th of January when he comes out of retrograde next week. This is the date that he picks it back up. And at the end of the year, the day before New Year's, Jupiter comes out of retrograde. We end the year and move into 2024 with Jupiter in his full power in Taurus, building and creating and expanding and bringing in more blessings in that Taurus area of our life that we're going to start getting blessings in May of this year. And Mercury comes out of retrograde on New Year's Day. So that's kind of exciting, but he's in Sagittarius when he does so. Woo. Okay. Can you guys see why I said at the beginning that is a full year? There is so much going on. So please, at this point, here's your reminder, your advice, have a good plan. Take the next 2 weeks while these retrogrades are still happening to just slow down, get clear, figure out what you want, have a really good roadmap. And the main thing this year with that Venus energy, remember I said 2023 is a Libra rising chart, and Venus rules Libra. So we need to pay attention to what you love and who's a priority and what do you value? Do you value your friends? Do you value your relationship? Do you value money? Do you value your career? Like, what is your priority? What matters? Organize it, figure it out, because that's what's going to stick around and that's what you're going to prioritize, right? Selfish season. Aries is the toddler under 7. Start embracing it. Learn how to ask for what you want. Learn what your needs are. Fill up your own cup. Prioritize yourself. Stop people pleasing. Stop doing it just to keep the peace. Everyone's going to go through this. And the best lesson you can teach someone is for them to prioritize themselves, for them to help themselves, right? We do have that Pisces energy with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So there will be that Jesus energy, that compassion. But it comes through Saturn's tough love, that tough love dad. It comes through teaching other people to have boundaries in a compassionate way, to be more selfish for themselves and for you to be more selfish for yourself. Hope that kind of makes sense. And relationships are going to shift after June. And that's just what it is. And this is like why I love astrology, because we can kind of see it coming. And so when it's happening in your life and it feels like things are fading or they're not working or people are breaking up or people are going back on their commitments, you can be like, okay, this is the astrology, this is the universe, this is God, this is whatever you believe, right? That you're going to recommit to now that Saturn's going into Pisces on March 7th. But whatever your divine is, you're going to realize that what is meant for you will stay. What you value and who you love and what you love that's meant for you will stay. And that's really going to play out over the summer. So that's kind of the summary of all of it. So you're like, oh, wow. Okay, what now? Well, plan your year. I've gave you a lot of dates and time frames and things that you can kind of plan around. You're going to want to look in your birth chart again to see what all these zodiac signs, what areas of life are going to be impacted the most by you. If you don't have your astrology journal, some people bought a ticket to this event. I still have copies for sale. Or if you want to buy one now for a friend or a loved one or someone that you think needs this information, you can go ahead and do that. And then the best way, honestly, is to do a personal reading. I know there's a couple people on the call that have gotten their 2023 astrology reading, and it was so impactful and so helpful and so exciting. So that would be my best advice, because as much as I can do on a collective, it's so much better when you know one-on-one exactly how you're going to be impacted. So let me know if you want to do one of those. Also, if you've already done a 2023 reading and we get to like the middle of the year and you're like, yo, I want an update, like I want to get more detailed, I'm trying to make a decision, I do offer like 30-minute sessions. So if anyone has like a specific question about their chart, maybe you only want to talk about Saturn and Pisces, maybe you want to know more about a specific retrograde, or maybe you're trying to get married and you're trying to pick a date, you know, I do offer like mini sessions. So just reach out to me. Thank you guys for being here and bearing with me. 2.5 hours. I cannot believe I haven't had a sip of water. And then I've remembered everything I needed to say this late in the evening. So thank you for allowing me to follow my dream and my passion as an astrologer. I wouldn't have this opportunity or this career without you guys believing in astrology and following my guidance and trusting me to read your charts. So thank you. And for also purchasing and supporting my souls on paper. This is just so insane to me still. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to leave you guys with these quotes that I absolutely love with astrology. I'm going to end this recording. I will be sending out the link through email for you to watch it. I'll probably just upload it to my YouTube. I'm going to debate tonight if I feel called to open it up to everyone. So I will let you know in the email if you can share that link with anyone in your life that you think this information would be helpful for. So let me just kind of marinate on that, and you will have the link by the morning with those instructions. So thank you guys. And I hope that 2023 treats you well. I hope that you make sense of your chaos. Follow me over on YouTube, TikTok, all the things. You guys know where to find me for all the more in-depth, month by month, day by day kind of astrology. I will guide you through it, I promise. And I'm going to end this recording, and anyone that's still on, if you guys want to jump in, you want to ask any questions, you want to share about your reading with the group, I am happy to stay on for a little bit longer. So thank you guys so much. And I will catch you on social media or one way or another, hopefully in person. How do I stop this recording? Okay.